I didn't believe it was real. You may have seen the segment I did on this. I did not believe it was real. The what is it? The NBA did. I can't even do this. I can't. This is so difficult for me.
You got this.
We got Ryan Long here. Okay.
Just happy to be the debut comedian on the Timcast.
Right.
This is to all my fans out there watching right now. Okay. Thank you for supporting me as the first comedian.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're here because this is what I'm struggling with. There's an article from Yahoo. Okay, the big news right now is the NBA is boycotting a bunch of games because they're traumatized from watching this video of this guy who, he got shot by the cops and stuff. So I can understand people, unhappy with it. How it affects the NBA. They're apparently saying like they're not in the right frame of mind to be able to play games right now. And so now we got Major League Baseball. They're canceling their games too because people are upset and they're traumatized over this. But the craziest thing about this article is that the whole thing reads like it's satire. For one, that these people are traumatized over this online. Like, look, I get people are mad, but whoa, come on, man. And then that they would buy Teslas to try and hide from the police because they don't get pulled over. Like, the whole thing just reads like it's fake news. But this is real. This is real. The NBA's ratings are down. They're boycotting, and everyone's laughing at them. So anyway, considering the news was particularly absurd today, I thought it'd be great to have Ryan Long on because you're a comedian, right?
Yeah, dude. I love the fact that they go, oh, a lot of these guys, they try to get Teslas so people will think they're white.
Right.
I like the idea of the black guys are like, we just wanted the cops to think we're white, so I've shortened my penis. We're doing all sorts of things to let people know. We have Blink-182 blasting in our Teslas. We were driving
Blink-182.
Yeah.
Is that like the Nickelback? I don't know. What's a very white
sure.
person kind of band?
Hello, officer. I never made it as a wise man.
Yes.
The cop walks up to the Tesla and he's blasting Nickelback, and the cop goes, he stops halfway and goes, I made a mistake, and he just turns around. And
I'm so sorry. I did not hear 311 transistor cranking out.
It's funny. You're making some jokes. It's literally in the article. We're gonna read it. It's ridiculous, and we're gonna talk about what's going on. And we've got some other news, but for the most part, we're just gonna hang out with Ryan. I figured so for those that aren't familiar, you did a bunch of. You got a bunch of comedy sketches, and they're all hilarious.
Thank you.
So for those that you probably have seen it because it's probably got like the 20 million views combined.
Yeah. I think.
Woke and racist.
That one, yeah. You know what? It's hard to tell, as you know, because everyone like rips your content and puts it. Dude, the one yesterday, I did this stock market one, and it was like #1 on Reddit. But instead of someone putting the video up, they just ripped it and put it up themselves.
Yeah, that's how it works, man.
Scumbags out there.
So
they
anyway,
got no respect.
Seriously.
For everybody that's tuning in, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. We're live every Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. But it's been crazy. I wake up this morning and I see some of the most brutal and gruesome videos I've ever seen, or at least not ever, but like I've seen in these riots. So this is some of the stuff that we were briefly talking about before we started the show. I'm just like, man, this stuff in Kenosha. And you made a bunch of you made a couple. I can't remember exactly what you said, but they were really funny and offensive, pertaining to just like riots and stuff. Yeah. But I'm like, no, it's a good thing. It's a good thing because we're gonna talk about dark stuff, I guess.
Tim was saying the N-word off camera.
Oh my gosh, no.
That's not true.
I said, listen.
Thanks,
okay, that's going to be that kind of show, huh?
But I think it was funny, just like the reference you made about, I don't know, the dick joke with the NBA players. It's just like, all right, good. Let's have a laugh because I'm sure a lot of people are not feeling it right now with it as crazy as everything's been. Listen, if you're one of these people who's been traumatized from watching this video and you stand in solidarity with the NBA players, we got Ryan Long. He's going to make you laugh. So you should feel a lot better.
I mean, you did say that it's all these black guys are trying to look white. I go, well, that seems like the opposite of my high school.
Yeah. Well, this article, I got halfway through it. It's from Yahoo Sports. And I just started laughing. I'm like, I'm being pranked.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's the thing. Some people see stuff like this and they're like, you're not supposed to laugh. Like, I have friends that, people we know have died, and then the comedian goes on that night, and the idea is like, my buddy died, which sucks because he owes me money, and that's like, which is like a standard. But it depends on how you kind of interface with the world. If you think you're supposed to laugh at stuff or not laugh at stuff. I went to the riots in New York a few times, and yeah, you're like, this is crazy, and there's obviously problems, but also there was some hilarious stuff happening.
Really?
Dude, I saw this like hood dude, and broke the store window. I've talked about this in my podcast, but he broke the store window and then he came out with a pair of shoes and he yells, he goes, "These kicks is for Floyd."
Wow.
But have you seen the videos of people
That's
just
what he said.
like running in and just running out, and they're all laughing and yelling?
Yeah.
They're like, "Yeah, come up." It's like,
I made a video.
it's not really.
There
It's
was
not really
a-
for Floyd.
No. Well, I mean, dude, it was all the things. There was a bunch of white kids that were just partying. There was a bunch of black kids that had like DMX playing and they're just having fun. Like, and then there's people that are taking advantage of it. There was all the different things. There's some people, dude, there was one guy, he was this Latino guy, right? And he kind of was there and he's like, "Stop. This is not what the movement's about. We need to stop breaking windows." And then this like black dude goes, "Yo, shut up." And then threw an egg at him. And this guy just got egged and you see it go down. And the guy's just like, "All right, I guess I tried."
Dude,
I'm going home.
I was in Brazil during these major protests back in I think it was 2013, and some dude was walking around selling beer.
Yeah.
he knows what's up. He was, and
Yeah.
people were buying it. And the guy I was with, he was like, "That's capitalism right there." This guy, he gets it. He sees an opportunity, so he brought a cooler out and he was like, cerveza and all that stuff.
I saw people do that with the shirts. So people were breaking into stores and they stole stuff, right? And then they would come out and immediately start selling it. Like everyone's like, "I got a 32, Ralph Lauren, who needs a 32?" And someone's like, "You got a 34?" And they're already hawking it on the streets.
And it's like he's standing outside the store, like he
Yeah,
shatters
dude.
the window and he grabs it and he goes, "I got a shirt right here."
Exactly. Dude, there's so many guys in New York that just like sell junk all day long. You go to their table and they're just selling whatever, like a cup of clothespins or whatever, nothing. So, and then people come around, they're stealing stuff. They're like, "Oh crap, we're stealing stuff now? I'm all good. Let's do it."
There's a crazy video where some dude goes in and steals a computer and walks out, and then two guys steal the computer from him,
Yeah.
and then they run away. I'm just like, man.
Circle of life. That's what
Yeah,
that's called.
yep.
You got.
The bigger thieves start, the computer goes all the way up and then eventually lands in some like corporate office where they really know how to steal.
I mean, a lot of times, I remember with G20 there in Canada when I was in Toronto, the G20 happened and everyone was it was like, "Yo, it's a party." Everyone's like, "Yo, you can just go break windows and do whatever you want." And everyone, it's the purge tonight, essentially, right? And then so everyone does that. And then over the next 5 years, it was like, "Yo, remember like Jason? Yeah, he's going to jail for like a year for that." So basically over the next year, everyone would start getting their trial dates and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's going to be a whole team of whatever police that for the next 3 years, their whole job is like tracking down these people. So
It's already happening, man.
yeah, we'll see what happens. But I think a lot of these people are going to be like, "That was fun." And then you're like, "Yeah, not so fun when you're in jail now."
Some of these people are going to prison for a long time, 30 years, Molotov cocktails, assault on an officer.
Yeah.
They think they're playing games. I mean, a couple of people died last night. They go out, they start acting tough, acting a fool, and now they think it's the game. They think it's the purge. They think it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, it was. So like, they're right.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sure. But you got to pay.
Yeah.
Ain't no such thing as a free lunch, right?
Yeah, but it does seem like it at the time. It was like, "Oh, we're all getting free sweatpants."
That was
like,
worth
well,
it.
now you're gonna get free orange sweatpants.
Yeah. Here, let's do this. So first, I'll show you the more serious news, and then we'll cry a little bit about how insane this whole story is. Fox News says NBA calls off playoff games after Milwaukee Bucks boycott game over shooting of Jacob Blake. The players forced the league's hand after protesting the Sunday shooting by Kenosha police of Jacob Blake, a 29-year-old black man. So that's the gist of it, but it gets crazier. Milwaukee Brewers join Bucks in protest sit-out game versus Reds after Jacob Blake shooting. I got a theory about this. Have you seen any of these games they've been doing
The basketball games.
recently because of COVID?
Yeah, you think the games have been sucking, so they're like,
Yeah. Like the ratings have been down, 40% down. So actually, I have it right here. Check this out. Outkick. NBA playoff ratings on ESPN are down 40%. Ratings, my understanding, across the board are down. So imagine this, right? You're used to playing major league sports. You got all these fans. Oh yeah, they're all yelling. And you're all excited, and you get the 3-pointer. You swing, you home run. Everyone's cheering. Now it's a bunch of cardboard cutouts.
yeah,
and
a janitor sweeping as you dunked on your opponent.
and you're creeped out. I mean, I would be creeped out. I couldn't imagine. I used to skate in contests.
Yeah.
A long time ago. I couldn't imagine like
Figure
being,
skate.
Yeah, figure skating for sure. Yeah, skateboarding. But there's people all over, and it really hypes you up when you're like, if I know I got this, people like they cheer for you, they cheer you on. It gives you that energy. I couldn't imagine, like, I skate by myself sometimes. A lot of the time, you're just skating for yourself. But when you're going out for a contest and you're pushing your limits, and there's no one there, and it's just like you just cough off to the side. The janitor, he's sweeping, and they expect you to perform your greatest without support of, you know, the crowds cheering for you.
Yeah, it's like, if you see, I don't know if you've seen wrestling without the audiences, but it is a sad sight. The guy's like, oh, I can't hear you. It's just a cardboard
really
cutout
can't hear you.
creaking in the wind.
It's a janitor.
Yeah, dude.
And I was going to make a really offensive joke. I won't do it. So I wonder if the reason why they're actually boycotting is because they're all like, dude, we need an out.
Yeah.
Like they're playing these games in these rooms where there's like I was watching, I think it was WNBA. They walked out of the national anthem, and they're not even in a court. They're not even in like an arena. They're in like a high school gym.
Well, the
thing.
fans of the WNBA have been boycotting by not showing up for ages.
Yeah. They didn't have to worry about the cardboard cutouts for that one. They just were like, you know, no one's going to be here anyway.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Holy crap, the attendance is wild, because they actually put biggest attendance in history.
The first time the seats have been filled. I remember when the WNBA boycott thing happened, they walk out on the national anthem.
Yeah.
And I immediately pulled up the clip from Family Guy. Like, Seth MacFarlane's the one who made the joke, not me, where he's like, I don't know if you've ever seen the joke, but it's really offensive. I mean, by today's standards, for sure.
Yeah.
Not so much back then, but he's like, and you know, so and so is going to, you know, to make the shot. She scores 2 points, and that's why she commands $7,000 a year. And they're like, but is the money worth being that unattractive? I don't know. That's for the fan to decide.
The fan.
There's one guy in the stands cheering.
That's 5 jokes in a row.
I know.
That's excellent.
That was Family Guy, man.
Yeah. Yeah, the NBA's been fighting it by not dunking.
For real.
Seriously.
They can't dunk. So anyway, so this is
Only
it, right?
doing layups in protest.
Right.
So they you know, the Brewers are boycotting, NBA's boycotting. Like I said, I think maybe it's because they're just.
I would love for this to catch on and people do it their normal jobs, like, you know, just a bunch of guys at McDonald's being like, you know what, the fry cooks are staying home today. You're like, it's for against racism, and you're like, which one died? You're like, I don't know, one of them.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They've been calling for a general strike. But this is the funny thing.
Just a general strike of everyone in the world.
That's what. Yeah. So it's a very common thing. They try to get
like
done.
a pajama day, sort of.
Yeah,
yeah,
for everyone,
like an extended siesta, you know, nap time.
great.
Yeah.
Like people in the Mediterranean get it. But a general strike among the left is when everyone just stops working. But they don't realize they actually don't have the support of, like.
Imagine just women did it, and they're like, women are just going to stop working, and then everything just went back to normal.
Oh gosh.
You go,
Everything improved. Efficiency went
women
up.
are like, as a strike, we're just going to stay home, and you're like, no problem.
Like,
No one
do
complains.
laundry
Hey, if
and
you don't
stuff.
mind making dinner today,
exactly.
and, if you gotta
Vacuum.
pick up, you gotta pick up the kids.
We're gonna
today.
get banned for hate speech. The stream's gonna get shut down.
I'm not saying that women shouldn't work. I'm just saying if they care about racism, they might want to consider that option.
That sounds
Well,
like
so-
a great option.
The funny thing about that is, people aren't working, man. Like businesses are
Yeah.
shut down. They're permanently closed.
If you do have a job, this probably isn't the time to, be making
I'm-
crazy.
but I think the way they see it is now is the chance to finish off the beast. You know,
Okay.
everybody's laid off, so there's only a few people working. You know, McDonald's and you know, the grocery store and stuff. So get them to go on strike, and there's nothing left. Maybe that's the general political idea to it.
Dude, these like all that stuff is like everyone's not like a 20-year-old activist. Like
I know.
just telling some normal guy, he's like 50 years old, he's got a family. You're like, yo, you're gonna quit, you're gonna not go to work anymore for the next week, and you're like, why? You're like, oh, we got a whole thing going on at the university. He's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. My gender studies teacher said it'd be a good idea, and he's like, I gotta pay my kids
Yeah, I have
tuition. I don't
life.
know. Yeah, but that really is it. So check this out. So we know all this is going on, but now we got to get to the best part. Yahoo Sports, Players Association, in active talks with players about logistics of potentially boycotting games. So this happened earlier this morning. I'm reading this article. I started laughing. There's no way this is real. Check this out. They say, an assembly organized by players who are emotionally traumatized by the latest police-involved shooting of an African-American that was captured on video was held Tuesday night at Disney's Coronado Springs Resort, sources said. And there were multiple conversations about what the actions could be taken throughout the day. So the first thing that happens is I'm talking to my friends, and I'm like, do you hear about these NBA players who
And
are
they're like, I can't talk, I'm too emotionally traumatized.
Yeah, they were crying.
Yeah.
I called them up, and they were like, I can't process this.
I was actually emotionally traumatized because I watched a WNBA game.
Ryan came in, and when he first came here, I mentioned what happened, and he broke down.
I just
he
said,
was
hold
crying.
me.
Hold me. So no, but in all seriousness,
The only thing that will help if I can watch you do some sick nollies at a skate park in the backyard.
Totally
Bring the
helps.
sports back.
If you could shred some gnar for me, Tim,
And
that
that's-
would really make me feel better.
And that's when I started crying because I'm traumatized.
Yeah.
No. So I did. I sent it to my friend, and they didn't believe it. Like,
Oh, they
I didn't
thought-
believe it either. And I sent a screenshot of where it said the players who are emotionally traumatized. And they're like, this is like an onion, right?
Yeah.
No, it's not the onion. Check this out. It gets even better. My favorite part. I have no idea what they were thinking when they wrote this. Here, this is okay. I gotta give everybody a warning.
Yeah,
this
this
is
is
quite
great.
literally on Yahoo Sports' website.
This is real.
Athletes aren't immune to being racially profiled. Sources said, as a tactic to avoid being pulled over, a few players have purchased Teslas, believing that police wouldn't suspect a black man to be operating that vehicle. Now, the reason why the first thing I saw there was, it sounds like some rich dude. It's like, oh, they're like, you bought a Tesla? That's like kind of expensive, don't you think? Shouldn't you buy like a normal car? Well, it's because the police wouldn't profile me in it.
Yeah.
So, like, their accountant is like, I don't know how you're justifying this $50,000 car. Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
How can we write this off? Call it a security expense.
Also, like LeBron James, like a Tesla's got to be a drop in the pan for these people. He's like, I needed a fancy car. It's like Teslas are like what, like a 50 grand? It's like you get a Ferrari if you want, LeBron James.
Yeah.
He's like, because of racism, I had to drop this insane amount of money on a car. I'm like, you can buy a fleet of Teslas.
What's kind of crazy about it though is, I think that straight up is racist. The fact that this idea exists that a cop is going to not pull over a Tesla because, like, this is the world they live in, and it kind of freaks me out. They really think the cops are, like, in their cars going, like, let's find the minorities. And then, like, they see a car drive by, and like, there's, go after them. It doesn't matter what your car is. In fact, a Tesla's more likely to get pulled over. I'd imagine.
It might be less likely to get pulled over than like a Honda Civic with like souped up rims
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
just
that's fair.
lowered
Smoke coming out the
black
windows.
lights. Yeah, 9 guys in the back seat.
Maybe.
Dude, flashy cars get pulled over more. You want to get, like,
Yeah.
a gray Civic, and then you don't get
That's
pulled
what
over.
you want. Yeah, get a Honda Accord if you want.
But it's also crazy, this idea that these guys think the cops can't look through windows.
yeah.
Like you sit in a Tesla and all of a sudden the cops are like, I can't see. What's that? Oh. But I think it's nuts that they view this world that way.
Dude, the fact that LeBron James said that he's like, listen, I get the sentiment, but for LeBron James personally to be like, yo, I'm afraid for my life personally, it's like, you're not though. Like
Yeah.
LeBron James comes out of his house and he's like, yeah, that great basketball game. Now I have to walk to my car and fear for my life. And you're like, yeah, I think you're gonna be fine. You're a 7 foot tall, like. The cops pull him over, and they wouldn't say like, "Yeah, you're a black guy. That's where you pulled over." They go, "Yo, are you LeBron James?"
Yeah, I know, seriously.
You know, they know who you are.
Yeah, especially like he's probably got a driver.
Yeah.
He's probably got a driver. He's probably I'm sure he drives himself. He gets pulled over in his very fancy car, and I'm sure it's fine. One of the craziest things about this, like this whole narrative they've had, there was a viral commercial where it was like the talk. This is what freaks me out because I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and I talk to my progressive friends, and they really believe that parents shouldn't tell their kids how to act around police and even firefighters or EMTs. Like,
It's not their job to educate their kids.
but what world do they live in? No, it's serious. Like, I see these stories. It's no wonder you get these super entitled, college students who have you seen that video in New York during the riots where this woman is screaming at the cops in their face and they keep saying, "Move, get back," and she goes, "Or effing what?" And then the cop goes, "She's coming," and he grabs her and she goes, "No, and
Right.
starts calling to her friends.
That's the classic. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the classic move.
Because she's never been told, like, here's how you appropriately deal in, like, these circumstances.
I mean, listen, I was like a troublemaker growing up, and I've had run-ins with the cops, and I'm not like some pro-cop guy.
Right.
But also, like, I've had times where cops beat me up. I've, been tons of nights in the drunk tank and all that stuff. But I never really, like, it still sucked, and I was like, yo, cops are kind of losers, but I didn't come out of it being like, I was innocent completely. And I'm not saying everyone else isn't, but like most of the times that I did it, I like look back and I was like, yeah, I was a little out of hand that night.
Yeah. But, I grew up and everybody I know in my neighborhood was told, like, hey man, when you get pulled over, what you got to do, you got to turn the engine off, take the keys out, put them on the dash, put your wallet on the dash, put your, turn the radio down, turn the dome light on, put your hands on the wheel, and wait for the officer to walk up. And then when he asks for your ID, it's right there in front of you. And you do that just to make sure everybody feels safe and secure. It's like these progressives act like...
I was told put on F the Police full volume.
Full blast.
And then stare at him without blinking.
and hold your hand in your shirt as he walks up and give him a look. No, don't do that.
Don't do
anything
please.
like
Oh my
that.
gosh.
I've had some wild... But like... it's this. The problem is with all this stuff is they shove it down your face so much, and then the times when they're actually like, oh, the cops are wrong there, it's hard to defend because it's like when they're like, everyone's racist, then there actually is one. You're like, I'm just done hearing about people being racist.
Yeah.
But this is the one that always makes me laugh. When at my old house in Toronto, these cops busted into our house in the middle of the night. This at like 3 a.m. They knocked down the door and came in. They had guns. There was like 5 or 6 of them. Came in with guns, bust down the door. They started flipping our mattresses. They go, everyone cuffed up. And there was girls there too. So they put the girls, they're all crying like, ugh. They're like, 20-year-old girls. Like, why are we, who are you people? So anyways, they bring us out on the thing, make us sit there. It's like winter. And then eventually, when this all said and done, they're like, who's so-and-so? And we're like, none of us. And then they were like, is this not 5 Ave Street? And they're like, oh, they were at the wrong house.
Damn.
This is for real. And then nothing happens. They turned our house upside down. Then they just go, all right, well, good. You better not have any guns. They just sort of move on to the next house. You're like, it's not like cops are always in the right. I mean, so you're talking about Canada though, right? Yeah, I mean, cops are probably worse here than Canada, don't you think?
But that story was in Toronto.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the 6 is the hood. I mean, you wouldn't last a day there. It's a real tough place.
Oh, right on.
No, you grew up in Chicago.
I had a place near what used to be called Comiskey Park. Now it's U.S. Cellular Field in Chicago. It's where the White Sox play. And one day, me and my friends we were playing GTA, and the cops just kick our door in, and they come up with their guns out, and they're screaming. It's been so long, but they were like, "Where's Jimmy?" or something like that. And the 3 of us are just like, who? And he's like, where's Jimmy? It's like me and 2 of my friends. No one's name is Jimmy. And then they walked to the house looking around, and we were like, we moved in 2 months ago. And they were like, oh. And they leave.
Oh my God. Like that should be pretty high on the checklist before you break a door down, is make sure we got the right one.
Well, they did. It was the right address.
Oh, it was the right address.
But whoever they were looking for didn't live there anymore. Mm-hmm. And so these cops, no warrant, nothing. I guess they were looking for some guy, and Chicago's got cop problems, man.
They were looking for LeBron James. Is who they were looking for.
What they were doing.
They saw a Tesla out front, and they knew.
Yeah, imagine LeBron James had like a really good point because the cops are legitimately like, yo, wouldn't it be funny to pull LeBron over like once a week? And then he's like, I'm telling you, these cops are after me. And they're like, oh, LeBron James, the cops are out to get you. He's like, I swear, it's a conspiracy.
And then like, there's a, one of his manager is talking to somebody, and he's like, I'm telling you, there's cops. And then the manager's like, he's just, he's a little.
Yeah, he's not. I think they're everywhere.
I mean,
5-0 LeBron.
But you know what's funny? You're making a joke. But that's exactly what it sounds like they're saying.
Yeah, it's not that far off.
Yeah, man. So I wonder if this is offensive enough that YouTube's going to be like, let's turn this one off. This guy's
this video?
Yeah.
Really? This is
YouTube is nuts, man. The censorship is getting crazy.
Eggshells,
yeah,
man.
they were hard on. I told you I did this stock market video.
Yeah,
but you know how it's like you never know what they're gonna get you for. You're always like, oh, this one's a little crazy, and then nothing, and then they get you for something. You're like, what? That was nothing.
Dude, I have videos where it's like, I was talking about Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Joe Biden gets accused by these women of, being a little touchy-feely with him, and it's like this big scandal. And I'm like, Joe Biden did this, he did that, and they're like, all good.
Yeah.
And then I do a video about like a TV show, and they're like, whoa, you can't talk about sex and stuff like that. What do you? And then it's the craziest thing to me. I do a segment, and it's like, they have this thing called self-certification on YouTube where you choose, does this appear in your video?
Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah, and so I'll be like, it's serious topical analysis. There's nothing too crazy. I don't show, graphic imagery or anything like that. And I have no idea why. Some videos are good, some are bad. And so I'm constantly in talks with Google, and I'm like, okay, let me get this straight. Like, this video right here is good, and it's a story where I'm talking about a guy who took a bullet in the chest and then dropped dead, another guy who got a bullet to the head. That's okay, and we're showing the guy with the gun, just not any graphic imagery. Yes. Okay, now this one, I talked about Kamala Harris running with Joe Biden, and you flagged that as hate speech. That one's offensive. Yeah. That one's got to go. And there were, and then
the video where you're yelling the N-word for 2 hours straight.
But but the crazy thing is,
G2G.
You actually can say and use slurs on YouTube so long as it's not directed at.
Yeah, I guess so, right?
But
yeah.
they will throttle you. They'll demonetize you. They just
They don't love it.
They won't ban you for doing it.
They're like, yo, it's chill, but like,
yeah.
you know, we don't love it.
We
We'll
totally
allow
get it, man. You know, it's,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
cool. Like,
listen.
do your thing, but just like we're not going to tell the neighbors about it. But yeah. So you've got the woke racist video.
Yeah.
The two guys wearing shirts. One guy's woke. One guy's they believe the exact same things.
Yeah.
And that one you didn't have any problems with.
No, that didn't get censored everywhere. But I've had lots of stuff censored over the years. But I just thought it was funny that I did the stock market video. Like, basically the premise was like the stock market's kind of overvalued. It was like not even anything crazy. And it got censored everywhere.
That's so weird,
Dude, like TikTok took it down twice, then it got like demonetized, and then it got like the thing on Twitter that says, you know, it has shocking content or whatever.
Wow.
It is. And
So wait. Explain what the video is. Like, what's the premise of the sketch?
basically it's the economy and the stock market, and the economy is like a bro partying, like, whoa, yeah, this is never gonna end, and the economy is like, we're very sick because they're Siamese twins.
Yeah.
The guy's like, maybe you're sick. Like, success is just a state of mind. He's looking at Gary V's.
Maybe it's a Siamese twin. Is that actually offensive? Is it?
I didn't even say Siamese. I said conjoined.
Conjoined.
Yeah, because I know that's a big problem right now.
Yeah, why do we call it Siamese? It was because there was like two famous people who were Siamese, right?
I think so. So I think it was because it was like a circus act. Like it was a Siamese. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of terrible.
And
Well-
the guy who started the circus tweeted something bad in 1842.
That makes sense.
They
He's
found out
canceled.
now it's
You know,
over.
he chiseled something into a into a tablet that is now considered racist.
150 years
I don't
later.
think does Siam doesn't exist. It's
No,
Burma.
maybe it's that, but it's hard.
They were like your
we're
factual
drawing this
inaccuracies.
conclusion, yeah.
you used the name of a country that's no longer in existence. Therefore, no. But I think it's hilarious that you made a video. It makes the conspiracy theory alarm bell start going crazy.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of conspiracy theory alarm bells that kind of go off on all that stuff. But the funny thing that I think I was kind of saying this to you before, but the funny thing about satire is how these places decide what they can put on and what they don't. Is they transcribe. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you probably know more than this than me. But they transcribe what's happened in the video
On
then-
YouTube.
and yeah, right.
Partly, yeah. So
Into text, and then they flag certain phrases and
they can
words and
actually
stuff
do
like that, right?
they can actually visualize the text. So like if you do a thumbnail that says, I don't know, like a racial slur, it can break the image down and detect the text in the image.
Right.
But also the words you say, it's there's actually, I think it was
So you can't just do the white power sign willy nilly anymore.
Oh yeah, they'll find out and it'll translate the text and everything.
Yeah.
I think it was Keemstar. He said a word that I'm going to be very careful and enunciate very, very carefully. It starts with E, then there's a hyphen, and the word girl. And the reason why I separated that in that way is because YouTube recognizes that word as basically one of the N words.
Really?
E-girl. Say it fast. And the translator said a word you can't say.
Very
And he got demonetized. Yeah, so a lot of people don't realize sometimes the demonetization is because the computer doesn't differentiate between similar sounding words. You know, like if I was thinking about this a while ago because I was I can't remember, I was at like a French restaurant or something. And I was thinking about the similarities.
Quit bragging.
Oh yes, that's right. We had escargot. No, it was literally like some New York, French themed restaurant.
Yeah.
And I started thinking,
Pierre is poutine.
yes,
Yeah.
poutine.
French.
That's Canada. Get out of here.
Canadian.
No, but I was thinking about how like
Sorry.
if you spoke very quickly, you're priming yourself to someone else, like to someone who doesn't speak English in a very weird way. Like if you said, "Mr." and "my sister," like
Right.
a person who doesn't speak English might not realize "Mr." is a dude and "my sister." They might hear the same thing.
Yeah, like my ex, I was saying, I think we should break up, and she heard, I'm going to stay here for another 2 years.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
gosh, yeah, exactly the same.
There's always
yeah.
these linguistic problems, and you speak quick.
But YouTube mangles up what you say because we talk fast, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
so maybe what happens is you're talking about the stock market, and like, have you looked at the text? It's all like a bunch of
I
like,
said, is this,
all-
is real? And they were like, stock market in Israel? Okay, we
man,
know what's
yeah,
going
that's
on
it.
here. Loud and clear. Get him out of here.
I've been willing to bet
I'm talking about the Federal Reserve, and I accidentally say
yep.
Israel.
you're gonna get.
Repercussion.
Look. I'm willing to bet a lot of conspiracy theorists are going like,
Yeah.
you talk about the Fed, you talk about the stock market,
Right.
they shut
They're
you
starting
down.
They're starting
But
to put the...
so you know what's funny is it has come up. People talk about censorship of conservatives, a lot on social media, and it's real. But it's not so much that it's conservatives, it's anti-establishment orthodoxy. So
I would agree, yeah.
Conservatives, for the most part, are the ones, especially Trump supporters, so they see the most of it, but there are leftists, like anti-war, anti-establishment, who do get censorship sometimes, but for the most part, like the establishment orthodoxy of the left is typically okay. And that was another thing you were bringing up earlier I thought was really fascinating, that you mentioned YouTube can't detect satire.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say, that because so that's one of the reasons why people will do videos being like, oh, I'm like a Q guy, right? And then bet you say all this stuff. You're like, oh, Trump's doing this and he's the pedophile rings and hydroxychloroquine and whatever. I don't know. I'm sure people on the internet are like, that's not what they think. I don't know. But if you say like, oh, I'm going to make fun of like the far right or something, and you say all their talking points, then YouTube goes like, you're not allowed to say that stuff. Take them down. But if I come on and I'm kind of like, oh, there's 75 genders and whatever, right? They take that phrase and they're like, 75 genders. We see no problem with that.
Yep.
Good to go.
Good to go.
Yeah, because you're making fun of it, but they can't tell the sarcasm.
Yep.
So you're making fun.
So you were telling me that earlier, and I was like, that's a
So
really...
you just have to say everything sarcastically and wink.
But it's right. So
women are equal to men.
and YouTube's going to translate that, and the computer's going to see it as a literal statement.
Yeah, they're going to say, this guy's bang on, dude. Let's throw this MF in the algorithm. He's boom. Sure. Truth bombs on this channel.
Have you seen what happened at this bookstore? This is hilarious. Do you know Titanium McGrath?
Yes.
So they did a display of all of these woke books, and one of the books they put on the pedestal was Woke by Titanium McGrath, Andrew Doyle's satire project. And so you have like, white fragility and like, white whatever, and then there's woke, and it's
indistinguishable.
It's hard for me to get out. It's just it's indistinguishable.
He constantly does articles where they, basically prove his article. Dude, I've had a few of those where like I made jokes and stuff, and then the next day you're like, yeah, no, that's what they're doing for real.
Dude, how many times has like the Babylon Bee or the Onion come true now?
Dude, it's like they're predicting the future at this point. I'm gonna need them to stop writing some of these articles. It's nonsense.
Some of it's getting like creepy predictable, but man,
there was one thing that always made me laugh, just because, and I also bring it up because you worked at Vice. But because I kind of hit them hard, but I did an article. There's this girl that got fired from Vice, right? And she was like really mad, like they're getting rid of. I'm the only person speaking for trans people, but like the answer is like no one's reading these articles because they're garbage. And it was all like why men are cutting off their penises in solidarity when they're not even trans.
Is that what she was really writing?
Dead serious. So basically, I used half of the Vice articles and half ones I made up, and no one can tell the difference. Like why animals are actually trans, and there's all this kind of stuff, right? Yeah. But when I was, I kind of go hard on them too, because I remember when I was in Canada, they kind of came to Canada and they're like, oh, we're going to spend, they made this big venture deal and kind of said we were going to spend money and then didn't really. But I was in a meeting with the guy and he said for me verbatim, I was talking about like the show about some guys in bands and stuff like that. And he's like, we're trying to do stuff with things like refugees, like stuff that's hot right now.
Whoa.
Dude, the guy at Vice looked me in the eyes and said, we want to do refugees because they're hot right now.
For like...
Yeah.
For what? Like entertainment content?
Yeah, like we want articles and shows about refugees because that's what's up right now. And I'm never forget that.
I've got similar stories, man. I worked for one company where I was talking to one of the higher ups. They were really confused about what the direction of the company. Because when the editor-in-chief was asked by like their salespeople, what's the mission of our media outlet? He goes, gender. And it's not an exaggeration. I am not making a joke. Like I'm a serious guy. Okay. And they were like, huh? And he goes, that's our whole thing for next year. And they were like, okay. And
then he said, oh, what is it good for?
I'm like, could you imagine, dude, like Vice walking up to you and being like, we're really interested in like refugees for entertainment. Like, what?
And you're like, what about him? It's like, that's where you come in.
You got any jokes?
Yeah, well, I was saying that I was like, because it was a show about bands and stuff, and I'm like, what am I going to do? The Refugees with their new hit song, Staying Alive.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my God, dude.
I approve.
Dude,
it's wild, yeah. But there was also this funny thing in entertainment that, one comedy especially, like, there's this weird thing where some people think that if you're, some people have the idea that certain groups you're not supposed to make jokes about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like, but you go, imagine you were in a group of friends where it's like, you can talk about him, but like, don't talk about, don't make jokes about James or whatever. And James is like, yo, dude, and then I'm not really in the group
Right.
if we can't talk, and I've always said that when you do stand up, you actually look at people that make fun of everyone. Everyone kind of leaves like a pressure release and they feel better. It's obviously if there's like a guy in a wheelchair and you rail on him nonstop, but if you just treat him like everyone else, people actually like that way better. But when you kind of set those tones, it puts in a weird situation, especially. This is why there's all these conflicting agendas, because they go, diversity is really good and we need like diversity in sketches, right? But a lot of sketch comedy, you're making fun of the thing, right? So they're like, you need women and trans people in sketches. Also, you can't make fun of them. And you go, so what? Like my comedy sketches just have to have like, Indian trans people that are the heroes. And like, that's not really.
And so there's no joke.
Well, you should go, what am I, like, I'm fine with putting. So I always say it's funny when they ever go like there needs to be more diversity in comedy. And you're like loud and clear, lots of black guys.
Yeah,
because black comics kick. They're very funny, right?
Have you ever seen like an actual woke comedy set?
A woke comedy set. That's majority of comedy right now.
Really, you think so?
There's no.
Well,
if turn on Netflix,
for sure, right. But I mean, you've got. I don't know, Amy Schumer, would that qualify?
No, I mean, Amy Schumer she's more like Hollywood woke, where you get really famous and then you kind of go, oh, that offensive stuff I was doing before was a character.
Right.
But actually I'm part of the good guys.
Yeah.
And that's more like let me keep my famous guy spot. You're kind of like, how do I stay famous? Okay, who do we like now? Okay, who's bad?
What do I have to say? Give me the list. I'll just, run down.
That's what that feels like. No, but the funny part is if you go like, in Brooklyn or whatever, there's like a whole genre of comedy where they're coming out and they'll be like, my dad doesn't even think the gender exists, and Trump's so orange, and whatever, right? It's.
Did you? No, go ahead.
Yeah, they're using all the buzzwords, right?
Right.
Whether gender and non-binary and all this stuff. But the problem is you go outside of any like metropolitan's little pocket of those people, and no one knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's crazy. They've created. I think it's social media. They've created this microscopic bubble. It's decently large. It's probably millions of people.
Well, it also has like the industry power and.
Yep. So you get these people who are saying things that make literally no sense to anybody. Regular people.
Go, I'm sorry that I'm not part of your heteronormative thing, and they're like, we're not against that. We don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. What is that? Is that like a science term or something? And then they say it's not my job to educate you.
Yeah. But the kind of idea is those people, and then I feel like the problem is you see them online, and then a lot of these people will see comedy like people like me or whatever, and they'll go, oh, sorry that you can't just make your like racist jokes anymore, and that the world doesn't want to hear that comedy, and you go, they actually do though. Yeah. It's like, I do like people, and you go, I'm like, I'll bury you in front of your fans in a comedy club. Like, I don't know who you like. They think comedy isn't real, but. So the problem is most of the world are just normal people. They go to comedy clubs and they laugh and they're like, yeah, like make fun of everyone. This is hilarious. And then there's this sect of the internet that controls a lot of power that goes, we're going to add a third rung to this where it's like there's a contract between you and the audience. The audience laughs. We're going to watch it after. We're going to watch it after the fact and be like, yeah, well, they're stupid. They shouldn't be watching, shouldn't be laughing. You're wrong for doing those jokes. And you're like, what's the problem? Everyone had a good time, and you're like, well, they shouldn't be having a good time.
Do they think like the people in the audience are part? It's like they're part of the act.
He thinks
like
they're too stupid.
They
don't know what's best for them.
I watched the special. I think it was from Vice about a woke comic, and they explained that the best way to be woke and do comedy is to make fun of yourself. And so it was like really like self-deprecating humor is fine. Like Rodney Dangerfield was like legit. That dude ragged on himself endlessly and it was funny.
Yeah.
But some of this is just kind of like it's really bad.
It's a depression off. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
But I mean, if you take every other target off the table, I mean that's
all left is you.
But I think that those woke comics have I don't think there's a shortage of them being like, oh, I'm sorry that a white man showed up.
Yeah.
So for them to say that they're not hitting targets.
When I was watching this, you know what it felt like? It felt like the audience and the comedian were doing a show for the cameras, like a Potemkin comedy show.
Yeah.
Where the journalists come in and they're like, so can woke comedy exist? And they're like, yes. And the comic is like, hello, friends. Here's a joke. I'm ugly. And they go, yay.
Yeah. Don't laugh too hard, though.
Ha, 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 ha.
Jazz hands, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cosplay of a comedy show.
But they want people to think it's real.
Yeah.
You know what it really is? I think, what did someone call it? Clapter?
Yeah, of course. And you know what the thing is about, like, you do your thing and everyone does their thing. If you guys want to go do, like, your kind of hipster thing or whatever, and and pretend, tell like, there's bands that the guy rolls around on the ground while hitting a tambourine and that's a band. And like, I'm not saying they shouldn't be able to do that. And I get like the hipster element of it.
Yeah.
But the problem is then to go and be like, oh, look at these bands playing chords, so it's that's kind of what
chords are offensive.
Yeah, I don't care what anyone does, but it's like once we get into conversations about who's allowed to do what, and you start being puritanical with these fringe beliefs and that actually kind of hold a lot of institutional power, that's when you start to be like, all right, I was going to be fine, let you do your thing, but now you're telling me what to do, so now we kind of feel like we're at war. So
you've done a bunch of these videos. You got one recently, Left and Right. It's like a basketball team, like you're trying to pick teams. You just describe it real quick because that one was good too. And then
this is what I've kind of been saying this a lot. Is like a lot of people on the internet really were, for the most part, kind of apolitical. To some degree, they're like, I don't know, yeah, maybe I'm down for socialized healthcare, but I don't really like being told what to do. Like, I don't care if gay people, most people. I would say there's a good 60% of people before people kind of came in and said, no, you got to pick a side, right? You're on the side. And then most people are like, especially people that grew up in metropolitans are like, all right, I guess like I'm on the left or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, do you believe this, this, and this? And you're like, I don't know, that seems like a lot. Do you believe this guy shouldn't be able to say this on the internet? And they have this insane laundry list of things you need to believe. And then if you don't believe them, they go, this guy's right wing. And then eventually some people go, all right, whatever, then fine, I'm right wing. Because it's like everyone's doesn't have, like me and people like me and you think about this stuff probably more than other people because it's your job. You're essentially like we're social commentators for a living. So you probably it probably took you a few years to sort of realize how to interface with like everyone yelling at you and telling you you're bad for saying this, and you go, what? So I think for normal people, they think in terms of Socratic logic where everyone just yells at them and they're like, if you don't think this, you're on the right. And they go, I guess I'm on the right then. And they go, oh, look at this. He's on the right. Fire him. And you're like, well, you're the one who pushed me over here. And the left wing's kicking everyone out. So they're like an exclusive club. And they're basically saying, if you want to be here, you need to be like VIP. You need to have this much money a year, like either the exclusive club.
Black tie suit, dress up for it.
Yeah, and the right wing's taking recruits right now, right? Yep. So they're like, everyone's in. That's why
everyone's in.
They'll be like, oh, I like socialized healthcare. They're like, whatever, get in here. You know what I mean?
Come on in.
Yeah, and they want. And
we'll argue about it,
right? So I feel like the way that they want to describe it is different because the truth is it's like they're the church and everyone's like the church. Like if you want to get into heaven, this is the the left wing. We're the good one, right? If you want to be part of the good guys, then you got to list. Here's the commandments, and then the bar down the street's like, yo, we're kind of just partying over here, and then they're like, look, the devil's down the street, and they're like, we're actually just drinking beers, but. And then they're like, if you go there, you're either with the church or you're with the bar. And everyone's like, dude, I just want to go to a comedy show and laugh with my friends without you scolding me. Yeah. And I think that's how most people see the world. And I don't think a lot of these people realize how much people they're turning off by, being puritanical.
So in the sketch, there's two guys. It's you and
were we supposed to talk about the sketch?
No. That's fine.
Joking.
So you're the left wing guy, and the other dude's the right wing guy.
Yeah.
And then you're basically screaming at them. And like the one guy's like, I'm on your team. And you're like, well, tell me 240 of your opinions or something.
Yeah.
The funny part, my favorite part is when the guy goes, I guess I'm on the right. And the right wing guy leans over and goes, you see this thing that Donald Trump said about coronavirus? It's kind of reasonable, right? And he goes, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But that
sure,
really
dude.
does feel like a lot of people being like, I guess I'll be on the right. And then the right is like very like, I don't know, kind of like tame.
Yeah.
Hey, look at this meme from Trump. And they're like, yeah, whatever.
Well, I even thought the response to these videos sometimes is so the microcosm of the actual video. Like I made this video basically saying there's these three people that are like, okay, I'll be on the left. The left wing's like, no, you got to be on the right, right? I released this video. And then everyone's kind of like, look at these like right-wing people. And this is crazy, but a tiny group. There's a tiny group of, radical kind of left-wing people with lots of followers that said, oh, as if. And everyone else, like every normal person from the right, the left was like, that's exactly how I see it. And you go, and then because normal people see themselves as one of the three players that's
right.
Like, and the radicals see themselves, oh, you're making fun of me. And you're like, well, interesting that you see yourself as the one yelling at people and not the normal person that just wants to play basketball.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that kind of says more about you than it does about the video, I think.
You think it's going to get better? Because there's a lot of comedians that are Joe Rogan, for instance. I mean, not only
not familiar with him.
No. Oh well, he's a great comedian. You should definitely check out his work.
UFC announcer guy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You probably he's funny. But when I think about his podcast being so big, and he does conversations along with his comedy, and his comedy hits at both sides, and it's really funny. Then you've got people like I don't know if you're familiar with Jonathan Pye. He's super. I saw his show, and it was one of the funniest shows I've ever seen. It was amazing. That dude's great, and he was working with Andrew Doyle, who did Titanium McGrath, so they hit it out of the park. And you've also got Ricky Gervais, you got Dave Chappelle, and they're willing to say like F you, I'll be offensive.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that resilience among those like high profile comedians is going to allow us to actually like well I guess I can put it this way: will comedy save us from the insanity? Because regular people, like you said, see themselves as the normal basketball players, not as a left wing guy. I guess my question is: are you optimistic or pessimistic about where this is going culturally?
It seemed like it was kind of dying down a little bit because the common thought has already been lost. So I was doing stand-up clubs every night, and you kind of say things, and you see, I wasn't like, saying like, isn't this stuff crazy? That's what I was kind of saying like 5 years ago. And over the last 3 years, it was kind of like, oh yeah, crazy woke stuff. Like everyone's kind of rolling their eyes at it already. COVID bubbled it back up like crazy. So as far as like the counterculture, it's strong in the counterculture. That is the like the 10, 15 best comics in the world right now, in my opinion, aren't part of the industry system. And everyone kind of sees that. They go, why, when I watch this, it's crappy. And when I watch the people that aren't endorsed, you like what Netflix does kind of, it's not to say that there isn't good people on these stations, but late night used to be worth something, right? Like you go, oh, this guy was on, Colbert 5 times. Like, oh my God. Whereas now it's like you have a friend that goes, yo, God, come check out these chicks. They're so hot. And you're like, the first time you're like, well, that girl wasn't that hot. And then like the 5 more times he keeps bringing 2s around and you're like, all right, like, I don't think I'm going to listen to this guy's vouches anymore.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what the industry's done, right? And they're in this loop because it used to be, let's say you were like a record label, right? And you had, rock was happening when rap was popping off. And you're like, we need to switch to that. You're going to be a little late because they're big boats and they take a long time to turn. And maybe you fire everyone and get a new regime. We're going to be a rap label now because we don't want to miss this big movement. They usually do miss it. That's why there's all these rapper millionaires. But what happens with this stuff is if you went to these places now that have that culture, like Vice or whatever, and you go, hey, this stuff's kind of like drying up. People hate it. Like, it's not doing good. No one wants to watch it. And then you go, so we want to switch. And they go, you want to switch from helping the underprivileged? So it's not like, oh, you don't want to be a rock and roll guy anymore. It's like, what do you mean? You're going to switch from being anti-racist?
Does that mean you want to be a Nazi?
Yeah, we're going to make a culture shift from we're going to make an internal culture shift from fighting racism. Like, what? It's like, I'm on Twitter now. My boss is a Nazi. And the guy's like, okay. Sorry. Keep churning out articles about why trans people are awesome. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, I feel like the culture war is like, I don't know, an anchor, I guess.
Yeah.
It latched onto all these industries and it's dragging them down and they can't do anything about it.
And they've created their own loops too. Like a lot of these stations are funded by advertisers, right? So they go to the advertisers like Dove Soap, like this is the culture, like you got to be woke, right? Dove's like, well, okay, we're woke. Yeah. And they're posting the things like, yo, women rule or whatever, right? And then essentially they go to buy stuff and they're like, hey, we're going to do an edgy program. And Dove's like, yo, we're not doing that. We're woke. And they're like, well, you don't have to be woke. They're like, you're the one that told us to be woke. So
I know what's really going on with Dove Soap.
Yeah.
Do you know the secret? You brought up Dove, not me.
You tell me, yeah.
You know Dove launched that Real Beauty campaign.
Oh, yeah. It's a brilliant campaign.
Yeah, it's like the women are, kind of overweight. Not morbidly.
I didn't see it that way. I just saw them as perfect, but interesting. That's how you saw it.
Yeah, it is. So, but that's.
I saw them as delicious.
Do you know who owns Dove?
Funny.
My guess, if I had to pick, Richard Spencer.
Close. Unilever
Same
owns
thing.
Dove Soap.
What's Unilever?
It's just this massive conglomerate. Major corporation owns a bunch of companies, so they own Dove. They also own another company, Ben and Jerry's.
Oh,
so
that's a good conspiracy.
It's a great conspiracy, but is it really a conspiracy? I mean, think about it. You're a dude who works at Unilever. I mean, for real. It's not even.
That's good stuff.
It's not even a conspiracy. Think about it. You're the guy who works at Unilever. You're going through the books, and they're like, "How can we improve?" They're like, "We got a problem. We're trying to get moms to eat a pint of Ben and Jerry's every night, and they don't want to because we got these commercials of all these super thin women, and they're like, boom, do the Dove commercials for women who are normal, even though they are overweight, and that way,
again, I don't see it that way, but
sure, and then, but it's so arguably it's a conspiracy, but I actually think it's more of a circumstance of the system.
I hope that's true, dude. Like If ever a document came out, like, dude, if you're from WikiLeaks and you're on this, if you could find an internal email being like, yo, let's do like a fat soap campaign.
I want it to be true. I really do.
We need to sell more ice
Yo,
cream.
being chubby's awesome because we just acquired a pork grind company and we need to rocket ship this. Dude, that'd be the best.
I'm not saying that there was like, I'm not saying I think there's a guy at Unilever going like, here's the plan. I think it's very simple that it's a system.
They also acquired a shampoo commercial, and that's why they've been telling girls they shouldn't shave their armpits because
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hey, why not?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Well-
sell 10% more shampoo, but they don't own the razors. If they do,
Right.
if they buy the razor company, they're going to be like, yeah, we were wrong, shave them.
Well, but here's the thing.
It's actually super feminist to shave
So-
them. We were off on that.
We talk about get woke, go broke. Like we started with the
Yeah.
NBA story. I actually think I kind of brought this up. I think a lot of people miss is that there's get broke, go woke. It's the inverse, right? Like you've heard of get woke, go
Yeah,
broke.
they're like, there's only one way out of this.
Exactly.
Feminism.
Yes.
Like, we're a bank.
Right.
But for real, dude. Like you saw that Gillette toxic masculinity commercial?
Yeah.
Where it's like
I actually changed everything after watching that.
Yep.
I was mid beating my girlfriend.
you said to stop.
I just go,
It's like, wow.
what?
So this commercial was about toxic masculinity, and it's basically it's the epitome of bad advertising.
Yeah.
But it turns out a lot of people were like, "Oh, Gillette got woke, go broke. They did this woke commercial. They lose money." And I'm like, they were losing money, so they did the woke commercial. They didn't know what to do because sales were going down, and they thought maybe
This was part of the scramble.
Yeah, exactly. So I think so. One thing that was eating away at
We
Gillette
have to do
was
something so drastic it just might work. We're gonna do something really drastic. We're
Some
gonna make a
people-
pro-women commercial.
or no, it was anti-man.
yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Like,
So this whole thing's really, really funny, but because of like Dollar Shave Club and Harry's, cheaper razors delivered every month, they've been losing money. So then all of a sudden this ad comes out where they're like, men do better. And it just pissed every guy off. I mean, like
Yeah.
not every single one. The woke the woke feminist dudes were like, yeah, I'm a feminist, so
Yeah.
they can't grow beards anyway. I'm kidding. I can't. Grow
but
beard.
a lot of them have beards, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah. No, they're abusers. I'm gonna be careful. You know,
Just
you,
blanket statement.
Well,
You're
you-
all
pretty much, yeah.
abusers.
all of you. No,
Yeah.
you know the reset the clock meme, right?
Reset the clock.
Yeah, it's a meme. It's whenever a male feminist turns out to be a sexual abuser, reset the clock.
Yeah. I did.
Because-
I did a video. Absolve yourself by canceling others.
Oh yeah. But it happens enough to where it's become a meme. But the funny thing about
Reset the clock.
Gillette and with NBA, I think what happens is they're losing money, and they think we are not with it anymore.
And it wasn't even them. It's like their advertising agency be
Yeah.
like, "Trust me, we got the goods here."
You know, if I was
What are you thinking? It's just like a easel, and they just flip the page. It's just men crossed out.
just
Yeah.
and they're like, but we sell razors too, man. That's the
You
problem
don't
right
get
there.
it.
That's patriarchal thinking.
Yeah, you're not getting it.
Yeah, you're not getting.
Can we get someone in here who understands how to sell and understands business?
Yeah. So they end up doing these ads, and it's a response, in my opinion. It's a desperation to be hip.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the advertisers, because I've experienced this too. When I mentioned that company, right? That I worked for this media company, and they a lot of people know it was Fusion. They wanted to get woke, and it was because of these marketing consultants.
Dude, they're the worst.
If I was going to have an actual conspiracy theory, it would be that these far leftists immediately got jobs at advertisers.
Yes, that's exactly what it is, dude. And you've probably had videos. I've had videos myself where I put them up. You know that the one we were talking about with the porn stars?
Oh yeah, explain it real quick.
on.
Explain it real quick.
It's just it's too much swearing and stuff. But basically, I made this video with some porn stars, and it was like a comedy video. It's on my channel, but like it's kind of irrelevant what it was about. But I put it on my TikTok, and it did like 2 million views.
Wow.
And I lost 20,000 subscribers. So there is a possibility of but if you work for an advertising firm, what happens is you go to these companies and you're like, you hired me to do this advertising campaign. They go back and they go, look at this. We did, 20
Right.
million impressions. Like the CPM on that, like what a successful campaign. And they all like, pop the champagne, like one of the most successful we'll win advertising awards. And you're like, yeah, but what you didn't mention is, half of those, maybe more than half of those was people sharing it, saying like, I hate this.
Or it's actually crazier than that. So one thing they'll do is and this has been rampant in digital media, advertisers will go to these companies and say, gender. Here's what the young kids want. They want to talk about gender. And so then these companies are like, okay, I guess we'll do a big gender thing. And then the advertising company will say, okay, it'll cost you $20,000 for this production. They'll take $10,000 and they will buy views.
Oh, that's the Vice model. Through
Google or Facebook. I'm not going to say anything.
I know. Because Vice has bought some views off of like properties that I've been involved with.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
So I know a little. Elaborate on that.
Okay, so basically,
if you can.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't like a conspiracy. This is just like how that industry works.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, you're playing dumb with me.
I'm not, no, I've talked about it quite a bit.
Okay, so yeah, basically how these models do is they sell the clicks. They say Vice, like, we're the cool guy. You know, you want some Vice clicks? We're charging more than other people because you're buying a cool guy. You know.
Yeah.
So they sell to whatever Red Bull 1 million clicks at Vice. Vice's articles are bombing right now because they were hopping on a trend that's like dying out, and then. Let's say they only get 500,000 clicks to put on their, the ad on or whatever. Then they go to other websites, let's say, for example, a reductress or something
Dose.com.
like that. Yeah.
That's what it was. Okay. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Gaymalebathhouse.org. Whatever.
Yeah, that was one of them.
I'm not familiar with it, but I've heard that there's articles, there's websites like that.
That sounds like Vice, to be honest, dude.
Yeah.
You've seen that video
it's
where
a shoot off.
Have you seen the video where the guy's doing a Vice article and he's like, he can't think of anything, so he grabs a dildo out of a box and then he throws it at the wall.
Yeah.
And then he throws it again. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, and then they buy the clicks, so they go, "Hey, we'll pay you a percentage." Basically, we sold this for 500,000. We can't fulfill it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's like if I said to someone, "Hey, you want to hang out with comedian Ryan Long and Tim Pool? Give us $10,000 and it'll go to charity." And someone goes, "Oh, I'll pay $10,000 for Tim. I don't want Ryan to come, but whatever, right?" So they pay us the $10,000 to hang out with us for a day, and then we go, "Yeah, me and Tim couldn't make it." But
Right.
My boy from high school, we call him B Note. He's coming out. He's gonna have lunch with you.
He's usually just here to like clean the garbages out, but he'll be hanging out.
Dude, I'm telling you, he's cool. He's just like me. Like we grew up.
So this
can't believe it's not Ryan.
Yes, that's a real thing.
It's actually I forgot. It's called like ad rights distribution or something like that. And these companies, it was in my opinion, I think it's fraud. That's just what I think.
Because it kind of is.
If I go to you and I'm like, hey, I've got 50 million views per month, and it's all premium, and I'm gonna sell. And then what they did was they would go to these small clickbait farms that just generate as many clicks as possible.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Sell you junk.
Yeah,
it's The Big Short in a nutshell.
Seriously, no, it really is.
Yeah.
It really is. I've talked to ad people. Right. So for those who aren't familiar with The Big Short, this is about the financial crash in 2008 and like a mortgage-backed securities.
It's a documentary about Kevin Hart.
Is it? What do you mean? Oh, no. I didn't know if he was in it. I'm like, wait, was he in it? No, but so anyway. I get it.
Yeah.
That took me a while.
It was an on-purpose corny joke.
There we go.
So anyway, what happens is you think you're buying Vice, but you were actually buying, I think it was called Dose. I'm not entirely sure. And if you ever see those websites where it's like the 25 pictures of Brad Pitt's junk or something,
yeah,
and then
no, I mean no,
you've never seen sure,
no,
pops up.
No, I haven't.
So no,
don't check my history. Please.
But actually, a real example. I always make that. That's my go-to tabloid joke because it was an actual article I saw one time.
And was it like in his bathing suit?
It was just like pictures of Brad Pitt and in cameras like
stuff
zoomed
where his
in.
dick was like
they just zoomed in on his pants. I'm like, it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it's
they
like
still
random.
do that. Yeah.
No, but there's one you've probably seen where it's like these child
Maybe
actors.
you've seen it. I haven't seen it.
There's this article. It's like child actresses who grew up.
Okay.
And when you click it, it'll be like 25. And in order to see the next one, you got to load a brand new page.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the biggest scam in the book. Yeah. And they were like, look at this, 12 clicks. And they just went through all the pages. Yeah.
And so the bounce rate's ridiculous. The retention is 0.
20 people who are racist and you get 20 clicks because they...
Yep.
They click number 1, my dad. Number 2, my teacher. Number 3, Congress.
Exactly.
Congress. And they go through each and every Congress person.
Yeah.
But so the people click these, then you end up with 30 clicks. They're worthless junk clicks. Nobody saw any ads.
No one saw anything.
But then they attach that and say, here we go. We delivered the 1 million views you wanted.
Yeah, you got it from Vice.
But so that was a huge problem. I don't know if they're still doing it because they kind of all got. They are still doing it.
Yes.
That's crazy. But it's like going down, isn't it? People aren't falling for it anymore, aren't they?
Well, I mean, I think in this world, there was a while in the advertising world that was like the wild, wild west. I remember even like doing sponsorships to people, and it was kind of one of those like the Dr. Evil thing where they're like, how much do you want for this video? And you're like, billion.
And then they were like, oh, billion. Well, it's a little high. We'll do, how about 900 million?
Right.
You're like, yes.
Exactly. There was a while where like these valuations were just insane, right? And then you'd be like, also, can you pay for it? And they're like, sure. And you're like, yo, that's sick. These guys are idiots, right? And I think that was a little bit where these kids kind of, younger people go to these companies and they explain it in the way that they go, no, this is just how it works. You don't understand. These are affiliated brands. Like they don't say, no, you're still buying Vice, but these are brands that we're affiliated. Like we own these properties and they're part of our empire. Like they kind of sell it that. But the other thing you even mentioned, and the thing that kind of always makes me laugh, is they're kind of going and saying, this is what the kids want or whatever.
Right.
But the truth is what they're saying is this is what we millennials want. And like the younger people, the people that are 20 hate this stuff. And millennials just can't get past the fact that like, we're the same age. Like we're not that young anymore. You know what I mean? So a lot of these millennials are going around being like, oh, these old guys just don't get it. It's like, you're 35, dude. Like you could have 4 kids and it would be kind of normal.
Well, this is what's funny about Vice. Like Vice billed itself as the CNN of the street. That's what the CEO was saying. And, just like we got the youth, we're with it. And at the time, like the higher ups were like 40.
Yeah.
They were like, they're Gen Xers. They were in their 40s. I remember when I started working there, man, it's like, wow, it was 10 years ago almost.
Yeah.
And they did have something, but man, right around the time I started working there, it just became very corporate very, very quickly. But the one thing I was going to mention too, it's not so much about the ad rights manipulation where, someone will say, we want to sell, a million ads, a million views. And so they just throw garbage at it. They'll also, here's what they'll do. I'll say to you, I'm going to make a video for you and it'll cost you 10 grand, but I guarantee you I can get your video 1 million views.
Yeah.
And they just run it on a generic ad run on YouTube or something.
You can get as much as you want if you pay for it.
Exactly. But then they come back and they go, look how successful the campaign was.
Yeah.
It got 1 million views.
1 million views and 3 comments.
So what happened? Right.
9 shares.
Yep. But you can also buy bot farms. So I think
that's the
fraud.
ultimate. Like, yeah, that's when you're just like, you know what? Like, let's roll the dice. F it.
This is the crazy.
Like, I don't know, just put 1 million views on it and then charge them 100 grand.
Yep.
Like, looking at 1 million views, like, don't.
It's ridiculous to me that it's that simple.
Holy crap! This video popped off in Nigeria. Look at the analytics.
Wow. Yeah. Crazy.
All in 1 minute.
Oh man.
We nailed the 18 to 99 demographic in India and Turkey.
Yeah.
No, when they actually do click farms, they're sophisticated click farms. So they can make it seem like, I remember
they're getting better at it.
They're like, do you want New York based, Florida based? We can do hipster millennial. We can make it look like anybody.
Yeah.
And I can't believe this stuff is legal and they get away with it.
It's I mean, I don't know if it's legal. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. But the one thing that just reminded me with Vice is so this is another one. When they came to Canada, they were like, okay, we want to do, they made this big venture deal. So every place that goes to a different country from America, they make these crazy deals with the government where they're like, we're going to make so much content. We're going to give everyone jobs. Like, don't you worry. So then the government gives them tax breaks to come, right? So it's kind of, and then once they actually have to make this stuff, they're like, yeah, like we're lying. We're not going to.
Thanks for the money.
Yeah. It's exactly right. So, but I was doing a show at Rogers at the time and they brought me in and they were like, the guy at Rogers was like, hey, the Vice people want to talk to you. This is like when Vice was cool before.
Rogers is like what, like Verizon of Canada or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But they're, kind of like, I don't know, I guess what Viacom would be in terms of like.
Oh, even bigger than that, huh?
Well, I don't know about the size. I just mean in terms of like they do have like own a bunch of TV stations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, does Verizon own like TV properties like that?
No. Well, Rogers is like cell phones too, I guess.
Yeah, but they're also
so it's like AT&T.
Yeah, I don't know what their portfolio like divisions look like, but they do the cell phones. And they also own a bunch of other stuff, including TV networks and stuff like that, right? But so they came in and they were like, again, this was like when they were kind of, making cool stuff. And not that they don't make anything good, but it's like their culture department and journalist stuff is, just completely garbage, right?
Yeah.
And they said, they brought me into this room and they played this video being like, yo, Vice, we want to make content that can't be made in a boardroom. And we're all watching this from a boardroom. And everyone looked around being like, they can't be serious. Like the lack of self-awareness to play us a video that says we want to make stuff that can't ever be talked about in a boardroom, sitting in a boardroom, you go, you guys are cooked, dude. They don't even they've stopped even pretending to care.
It's kind of sad though, man. Cause the first time I went to Vice, I walk into this rickety old building in Brooklyn.
Kickflip through the front door.
Yeah, no. There was literally a skate ramp in the Vice building, like early days, because it was a skate shop and skate park. I go upstairs and all the bosses are sitting in the exact same room with just exposed brick walls and crappy desks, sitting side by side working with people. And then within, I don't know, 6-7 months, it was like everything was remodeled, redone, corporate, brought in HR department. I'm like, man, this is not fun anymore. This is like,
right.
It went from like when I first started.
Also, can you write articles about why you suck? You're like, yeah, especially because you're like a journalist, right? You're like, you were kind of, I guess, attracted to when people are doing these docs in Russia and that. They're like,
right.
Hey, can you go to like Wall Street and do a documentary about why you suck? You're like, that doesn't seem as fun.
Well, I mean, it seems plastic now. It used to be fun. Someone would be like, I got a crazy idea. I want to write this ridiculous article about, crazy BS. And they'd be like,
you're in your 20s doing fun stuff.
Yeah. Now, then it became plastic, where it was like, okay, we've got, we used to have this gritty, fun and exciting youth kind of, edgy outlet. Now let's fit it into a package, slap the brand on it, and ship it out nationwide for Christmas.
And then they're like, we don't want this. And then they go, yo, show them the half pipe again.
Right.
And they go, look, we got a half pipe. You got to buy this.
You know what it feels like? It feels like was some young edgy dudes who were having a wild adventure.
Yeah.
And then they saw their opportunity and they said, here's the franchise formula. Have a nice day.
Yeah, the clickbait formula. You know what's funny? Because you mentioned you saw my one where it was like Fox and CNN, and I was kind of making fun of
that was so good.
Yeah, how to sell footage to Fox and CNN. Like the same thing at Vice. Like I always kind of rag on these organizations, but when I made that video, there was people at Fox and CNN that were both like, dude, I work there and it's honestly kind of like that and I hate it. Well, so there are real journalists that, work at these organizations that the same reason, like they're, in Canada, I've worked at these, made TV shows at these places that have that culture where from the outside, you're like, this place is junk. And there's a lot of people there that are like, yeah, dude, I hate this too. I'm trying to make some cool stuff and I'm getting shut down at so these people got to speak up, like blow the whistle and just talk about the culture.
Yeah. Look, I had a contract. I wanted to leave. I left. And I just like, dude, I'm never going to sign an NDA and that stuff. I'll come out and say, here's what happened. Here's what they told me to do. It was whack. They told me to lie in this way and that way. I'll just say it.
Vice?
Vice was crazy. Vice was like, I'd walk in a room and I'd be like, I'm going to Turkey. And they'd be like, when can you leave? Go in the room, get body armor, and just let me know when you're at the airport.
Right.
Like it was kind of awesome.
I love the idea of when you got fired, or not. I'm sure you quit or whatever.
Yeah, I quit.
Your term. Yeah. But when you quit Vice, they're like, all right, you need to turn in your trucks.
My trucks? Oh, no. When I quit Vice, they were like,
and your guitar picks.
when I quit, they were like, you didn't quit, and I was like, yeah, I did, and they were like, nobody quits.
Yeah.
Nobody quits.
And your tech decks, keep it coming.
All the tech decks. I had to turn in my official. No, they gave me I have a Vice ring,
Oh, you got the Vice ring.
Yeah,
what is that?
Yeah.
You've been there for how many years did you get the Vice ring for?
No, I don't know. But I was there and I got it. And
Vice loves paying people in capital other than money.
Yeah.
You're like, how about cool points? You get a Vice badge. Does a ring? You're like, I'd like a raise because I'm getting paid $20,000 a year. You're like, how about a ring? What does that do for you?
And then when you're like, oh, I can't pay my rent with the ring, they're like, ooh. They're like shining it and it's like, ooh.
Did we tell you we're having a rave next week? Does that do anything for
you?
They
literally do those things.
I know, I've been to
one.
But
it's been a while. Look, I still have a lot of respect for a lot of people over there.
Of course. Yeah.
But they treated it like a cult. So when I was leaving, it was straight up like nobody quits. And I had friends who stayed there for a long time. And they were like, what do you mean you're quitting? Nobody quits. And I was like, dude, I'm not going to, I do my thing. I'm on a path to success. If at any point I feel like it's not working for me, I go my own way. Yeah. And they were shocked because everybody was so desperate to work there. The line was out the door. But look, I could see what was happening. Look, the company made a lot of money. It's a very successful business. But it wasn't a culture that I wanted to be a part of at a certain point. Yeah. Right? It's becoming corporate.
You can feel the energy. I mean, anyone who gets good at any of this kind of stuff, you feel the energy when it's growing, and you feel the energy of when something's like becoming stale and being on the wrong side of, what especially like the new movements are and stuff like that.
Right.
And, you're like, you guys are about to go into corporate shredded territory, and I don't want to be part of that.
Yeah, and very early on, because I was only there for like a year and a half. Very early on, it was much.
Oh, you got the ring after a year and a half?
I was only for a year and a half. Well, to be fair, though, I was like a good get for them.
Yeah. So that was part of the package.
So
they proposed to you. It's like, Tim, will you? It would be a journalist at Vice.
Kind of, yes, absolutely. Yes. No. It was like after a certain amount of time, they were like, how can we make sure this guy doesn't want to leave?
Yeah.
And they really believe that they had this power of the Vice brand that everybody loved so much, nobody would quit.
Yeah.
And there's some internal stuff where
Did you get your Vice tattoo covered up?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's a butterfly. I don't have any tattoos actually.
But it's a lower back Vice tattoo.
But they lower back, right? Yeah. No, they actually said to me like, you didn't quit, and I was like, I did. And they're like, this isn't over, and I was like, it's over.
You're not breaking it.
I cashed the check for the other company, and it's funny because I saw what was happening, and so I figured when I got reached, so I got this recruiting company reached out to me that was, it was ABC News Univision. And they were like, we want to be like Vice. We want to be that edgy young. And so I thought to myself, if this is where things are kind of going, and I feel like I'm going to be underpaid here, why not just go to the big company and have full control?
And they're becoming that anyway.
Exactly. So I was like, if you want to be in that culture and be like that, why wouldn't I just go to the company that's already got the cash and is going to pony up the big bucks?
That's obviously the move. I mean, you want to do those jobs when you're in your like early 20s, and then you kind of move to you make your couple big moves in your life if you're going to stay in that world.
I had a conversation with someone from Vice, and the general idea was they were like, if you leave, you lose the cool factor. And
no!
But think about it.
Jokes
so
on them. The cool factor went through
Vice,
the floor.
It was a springboard for a lot of people, right? For sure. Like, yeah, definitely lost that. But at the time, it was
cool factor.
Now it is. Now it's cringe factor.
Yeah.
So at the time, it was like, if you stay here and you do more of these videos, because like I did a video with Kim.com, the hacker dude.
Kim K, got it.
Yeah, and it got like, for sure, it got like 5 million views overnight. And so Vice was hot on social media and YouTube, and it was like, if you leave, you're not going to get this kind of recognition. Yeah. You'll make more money. And
they're really selling that, eh? That's their whole thing.
And you know what I said was? I was like, dude, those videos that got all those views, that's me getting those views, not you.
Yeah.
And so, because I had already gotten a ton of views on a ton of content, but they were really, going for that. So I ended up leaving this company. And here's the point of the story. I got no problem saying, here's what all these companies did. I'll say it straight up.
Yeah.
We need more people to do that. Like the things you're mentioning about these tech companies, how they sell ads, the fake game they play, the marketing companies that are telling people to get woke, and then it results in trash content nobody wants. But the point I was making before about how it's kind of like an anchor is that once you get woke, you don't go back.
No, you can't, because the culture's too ingrained. It's like, again, once you basically tell everyone, hey, if we do something else, we're racist. Everyone's like, got it. And then you come back, you're like, hey, we're gonna do something else, and they're like, but that's racist.
Yeah, and then nobody will move. But you know what it's like. You ever see that? You ever hear that experiment they did with like the chimps? And they put them in this room.
Had sex with them all?
Yeah. And everyone got disease. No, they put a ladder.
Me and my boys.
I don't know exactly how they did it, but here it's like an urban legend. I'm pretty sure it's a true story. They put this stool in a room, and they put fruit on top, and then a bunch of chimps. And anytime a chimp would try and climb the ladder to get the fruit, they'd spray him with the hose.
Yeah.
So then eventually they all started. If any chimp tried to get the food, they'd
beat the other chimp out. Yeah.
Then one by one
it's the crab in a bucket theories,
Well, but so one by one they would switch the chimp out. Then they'd put in a new chimp.
Yes.
And they got rid of the hose.
There's different versions of that experiment. Yeah. I've actually seen a different one, but I know exactly what you're talking about. And eventually no one knows why they're doing it.
Exactly. So here's what happens.
Yeah.
You get some guy at a tech company, at a media company, and they're sitting there scratching their beard, and their man bun, and they're like,
getting the Vice tattoo on their neck.
And while they're sitting there, they're thinking to themselves, like, how can we boost views? And they're like, let's try some like woke feminist stuff.
Yeah.
They do it. They get some marginal boost from like shock content. It's rage bait. This guy gets a promotion and leaves. He gets replaced by a new woke guy, and now you have a whole room full of woke people who have no idea why they're doing it.
Yeah.
And they'll never give it up.
It just becomes a genre.
Trying to keep.
It always happens in comedy too. It's like the thing that you're making fun of becomes obsolete, but the thing, like for example, if you were talking about, the cop shows that are like, hey Riggs, we're gonna do whatever, right?
We're gonna do whatever. What are they gonna do?
No, I was thinking of, you know what? I'll say this first because it was making me laugh in my head. The idea of you retired from Vice, and then Vice being like, "Can you come back, do an article?" And you're like, I don't do that anymore.
I don't do it anymore, Shane.
One last job. One last job. There's crack smokers in Russia.
I'm sitting here, and I'm like, no. And then they like open a briefcase,
yeah.
And it's a bunch of rings. Second ring.
Yeah.
It's just a ring. It's and look, I think
I couldn't get through my point because I was making myself laugh thinking of that. But
it's a briefcase with one ring.
Yeah, and you're like, all right, one last job. Get me my plaid shirt with rolled up sleeves.
And then it's like, It's writing an article,
Kevin,
and it's like the crack addicted coal miners of Siberia.
And they're like, why can't someone else do it? They're like, they can't talk to the crack addicted coal miners. It's only you that have the skills to infiltrate.
You think you're telling me a joke? Let me tell you a story. One of the things that I got pitched when I was there was a story about in South American mountains where the men have to climb up and like do mining on like mountaintops or whatever.
Yeah.
The women can't survive up there as long as the men can because of...
Typical.
Absolutely. Well, so this is what I was told, that the women have a harder time surviving because of the thin air.
Yeah.
So the men work up there for really long periods of time, but they get lonely. And because women can't come up, other men have to dress up like women and service the other men. And that was literally a Vice story. And I was asked, like, would you want to go to these mountains and like interview this and like do a video? I'm like, that sounds like Vice.
Girls putting a wig on and jerking off dudes. Tim's like,
no, it's
good,
dudes putting wigs on.
Dudes
And,
putting a wig on.
yeah, we are not family friendly
Tim's like,
anymore.
nope.
So.
This sounds like the South Park episode.
No, it wasn't. I was like,
No,
when's the plane leave? I was like,
right,
I'll
right.
parachute in, land me on top of the mountain.
Yeah, you come in,
like,
you
I'm
land
on
on the person.
Give me my wig.
Servicing the guy. Oh no, too close for comfort.
Oh,
You
no.
ever seen the South Park episode where the cops taking down the Johns by pretending to be a pedophile,
Oh, yeah.
dressing up? That's you. You have to dress up like the wig.
He gets
you know?
married to the pimp.
Yeah,
and
you're
it's like 10 years later.
You're 6 guys in, but you have a GoPro on your head.
No.
Oh my
Dude,
goodness.
you'd be surprised. Like when I was in Venezuela,
Yeah, you have to work undercover for 7 months.
I almost went to prison.
Really?
I was in Venezuela. I had some high-profile Venezuelan dude accuse me of being a spy. All of a sudden, I'm getting attacked online, like 10,000 tweets in a few minutes, saying like, we're coming for you, we're going to find you, things like that.
From people in Venezuela?
Yeah, while I was in Venezuela.
How did they see you in the first place?
So I had posted something on Instagram.
Okay.
I was like, it's no big deal. I was like, I took a picture of the protest or whatever and uploaded it, and then some high-profile...
And they could tell that you were like a journalist, and
Yeah.
that's what they mean by spy. Like they're like, you're here to
No,
write
they straight
about
up said I
this?
was a spy. They said I was working for the CIA.
Okay, so they were, yeah, okay.
So it was actually American leftists started tweeting at the guy saying Tim Pool works for the CIA and he's in your country. And so the dude saw it, went on his show, and he started showing pictures of me, and he was like, look, he's here. And they started showing pictures of corpses in Ukraine, claiming like I had killed them or something. Like it's crazy stuff. And so what I was told from Vice was, can you make this the story? And I was like,
Can you send me a helicopter, please?
so I the first thing I did as soon as it happened, I was like, airport.
Yeah.
Talked to security, and they were like, it was the middle of the night. You got to wait till the sun cracks because you don't want to get killed. Sun cracked, got in the cab, got to the airport, got on that plane, and like I was sitting outside the gate waiting for boarding, and that's what I was asked by the guys at Vice. They were like, why don't you just, this is the story. And I was like, they're going to throw me in prison, dude.
Yeah.
I called my family.
And they're like sick, right?
They were like,
you
well,
nailed it. Great
you'll be
work.
fine. And I talked to my
Yeah, do
family.
you know how many articles you could write from prison, dude?
Seriously?
No, you
Wow,
won't. You
that's
wouldn't write any. But then, like, so I was talking to my
That's a
family.
Vice article. I murdered a guy and did 15 years in prison.
That probably is.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, it's a big long piece. Yeah.
No, but I was talking to some family members, and they said, "Well, if you go to prison, you'll probably you'll be in for a couple years, but the State Department will eventually get you out, and then you can write a book about it
prison in there.
in Venezuela."
Everyone you talk to is like, dude, this is gonna be great for your career. You're like, can someone get me out of here?
Well, no,
Does anyone care? Your lawyer is like, no. You're like, hey, okay, so I need a lawyer right now. He's like, let me ask you a question. Have you started writing? What kind of? Are you using your laptop?
Now, what kind of percentage can we talk about? It's a 2-year.
Yeah.
No,
Your
but
lawyer thinks you're calling him to negotiate the book deal.
the point I was bringing up with my family member was not that they
gosh.
were encouraging me to go to prison. Was they're like, that's the mentality of what they're thinking.
Yeah.
They want you to stay because then they could have this international insight. Our journalist was there. He was totally on the level. I'm not saying that's actually what they wanted. Vice necessarily.
Yeah, they
but
wouldn't
that's
hurt.
what my family member thought they were going for. Like some people in my family were just like, it sounds like. And so I was like, I'm gonna be on that plane. And I remember sitting on that plane, and I was just like sweating bullets, waiting. And then as soon as the wheels lifted off the ground, I was like, yes. When I got back, one of the interns at Vice was Venezuelan. He ran up to me. He's like, how did you get out? And I was like,
Really?
what do you mean? He's like, how did you get out? And I was just like, I went to the airport, got on a plane, left there like, wow. Because they throw people in prison for way less than what they accused you of. Being an American spy.
Yeah.
And then somebody hacked my family's accounts, phones. They hacked my Facebook account. Like, dude, this is the craziest thing. A friend of mine I hadn't talked to in like 6 years messaged me saying, you need to call me immediately. The FBI is asking about you. And I was like, this is probably like something to do with what happened. So
Female body inspectors.
I call him. and he doesn't answer. I call him several times. He doesn't answer. Finally, he calls me back like 4 hours later, and he's like, "Why are you calling me, dude?" And I was like, "You told me to call you." He's like, "What are you talking about? I haven't talked to you in like 4 or 5 years, bro." And I was like, I got a message from you on Facebook saying call you. And he goes like, "Dude, I didn't message you. I haven't talked to you in years." I sent him a screenshot of it, and he was like, "Bro, I never messaged you." And so I talked to some of my cybersecurity friends, and they said it was
I want cybersecurity friends.
a messaging injection attack. And what they think happened was that the Venezuelan cybersecurity infrastructure was trying to get me to make a phone call from inside the country so they could find out where I was. But but I was back in the States, so when I called them, it didn't do anything. And then because I'm a funny guy, I used a GPS spoofer, and then I tweeted something like, "These arepas are delicious," and then I made my GPS location Venezuela.
Really?
I was like, "There you go, guys."
You outsmarted them.
No, I don't think I actually did anything. I have no idea. But they did hack all of my stuff. They hacked my Facebook. There was like an unknown login stuff, and so that's freaky.
I've had a few of those, dude. I had a guy that sent me, he's like, "This is your password." This was like a month ago. And it was like, "I've got your password and I've been watching you through your webcam or whatever. And you need to send
Someone
me money."
did that to you?
Yeah, dude. It was like a month ago. But it was in my spam and I was looking for another email. So I saw it in my spam and it was like, it was a month ago. But he had my password right.
Wow.
And I was like,
yeah, but I don't know, man. Sometimes people, I don't know. It's weird. Like, what's he going to get from you?
I don't know. I'm sure if someone stupider would have been like, I don't know, here's $2,000, whatever it is. Like,
yeah.
Some rich dude, they're like, "Hey, we're gonna send all your I mean, to be fair, if someone was in my group chats right now and was like, "Hey, we have I just have a transcript of all your group chats and I'm gonna release them all," I'd be like, "Here's my house. Would you like to have sex with my girlfriend?" Just you give me the list of demands. Here's my mom. Whatever you need, because this cannot get out.
So I actually want to talk about one more thing because we're getting close to super chat time. But
yeah.
We were talking about woke, college campus, all these jokes, and it reminds me of a man, Jerry Seinfeld, because he's the one who kind of sparked a lot of this conversation around college campus comedy. And now he's in the news because he's the one saying New York is fine.
Yes.
We're seeing a bunch of articles. We got, I think you mentioned this earlier. We got the story from the Post, actually from James, how do you pronounce his name? Altucher?
Yes. James Altucher is my friend too.
He said New York City is dead forever.
Yeah.
Is he right?
Well, this is kind of the truth is, who knows? And even James doesn't know necessarily. But the first thing is first, I've never seen anything with more hate. Like anything I've done, anything a lot of my friends have done, where people go, the whole internet goes, "You're the worst." The only thing I've seen like this was when Ari Shaffir did the Kobe thing, and everyone on the internet was like, "This guy is." Basically, when he said New York City is dead forever, people basically saw it as if he went to the Twin Towers the day they came down and spit on the ashes.
Jeez.
People, I don't know if you were following this at all, but the amount of visceral hate. I was doing comedy shows in New York still, and I would talk to comics. The people would be talking about it, and they go, "That guy's an idiot!" Like they're just mad.
Yeah.
So anyway, Jerry Seinfeld, I guess, was like that, and then he goes, "It's not dead. You're an idiot. Like you're wrong. Like F you. You're stupid. You're a putz." He called him a putz, which is pretty funny. James Altucher's going back to him. He goes, "At least Jerry Seinfeld wrote some new jokes," like stuff like that.
Oh wow.
So Altucher's taken some pretty contrarian takes here. He's sort of saying, "Here's my list of what I think." He's doubled down since people got mad at him. I don't know how much of this. When you make a video every week, he does 2 articles a week. Right. He may have been kind of being hyperbolic and not realized how much he's putting it out.
I agree with him. I mean, I'm not in New York, so I'm sure people. But I think
Seinfeld doesn't know. He didn't say any good rebuttals. He just goes, "No, it's not."
And he doesn't even live there.
No, he doesn't even live there. He's in the Hamptons and stuff, right? So, I mean,
but you live there.
I live there now. I'm in the thick, dude.
Is it dead?
I'm full Canadian American patriot right now.
I love it.
But what do you think? I mean, living there in the city.
I've been saying that it's funny because we were talking this a little bit before, but everywhere you look on the TV, it's like everyone's locked in their houses, the pandemic. If I go outside my house, it's a carnival. There is literally guys selling stuff on the street. Everyone's walking around without a mask. No one cares. For the most part, so they basically said, okay, we're going to let bars do street bars. If you go to certain corners, like in the East Village, it's like New Orleans. Basically the streets blocked off. There's a street party. Everyone's like partying on the street. So there's,
you can't get evicted, right?
Yeah, I don't know if that's true. Yeah,
you get evicted?
I don't know. Probably. I mean, I think if a landlord came up to you and they're like, "Yo, you're evicted," you're like, "Yeah, I'm not going anywhere." So
right.
Go sue me, I guess. Yeah, go to the landlord courts, and then the landlord courts would be like, "Yeah, I mean, there's a 9-month waiting list, and even then, probably not." And you'd be like, "I think you would just have to eat it if your tenant stopped paying rent."
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the big challenges now. For one thing, people are buying up properties like crazy. They're definitely leaving New York. They're leaving California. San Francisco's got like a 96% inventory increase from people fleeing the city.
Yeah.
But people are leaving. And so it's like when I read this article saying New York was dead, and then I read all of these things like the amount of businesses that are permanently closed, the 500,000 middle to upper class people who have fled already, not to mention that more are leaving inventory for, 13,000 empty apartment buildings or vacant buildings, I believe. And then you got homeless people being put in these hotels in like the Upper East and West Side, like these richer area, like these wealthier areas. Yeah, people are just like.
No, I sort of misinterpreted your last question. I thought you meant what's it like in general. I actually forgot that we were relating it back to this article of whether.
Oh, New York is dead.
Yeah. I mean,
no. I think what you said is interesting.
Yeah, but I think that it is true that a lot of the points he made, and there is this thing where how long can you push it and push it and push it? I mean, this is what happened to Silicon Valley, right? They go, and I think a lot of what James thinks too, and not putting words in his mouth, is like when Joe Rogan kind of said, like, "All right, LA, enough's enough. I'm out of here," right?
Yeah.
And whether that had to do with tax break, who knows, right? But eventually, and people kind of
I don't think it has anything to do with taxes.
Maybe not, right? So
Yeah,
I think a lot of people kind of got it. They're like, yo, LA's been pushing their luck, right? They've just said, we can do whatever we want because we're Los Angeles and everyone wants to live here. And New York kind of feels like that too.
Yeah.
We'll have way higher taxes, and F you, everyone still wants to be here. And there's a point where it's like everything else is opening back up. People have started working remotely and they like it and it works, and you go, this is better. So there is a point where other places start looking more attractive, and then everyone moved to Silicon Valley to Austin, and now Austin they're starting to regulate and do all this stuff, and they're kind of like, all right, we got to find a new place. Seems like the people that like freedom and not regulation kind of always go on the run. Then those places get good, then everyone comes there, and then they crack down again. And I can't find somewhere else to go.
I can't believe so many. I keep hearing from so many people they're moving to Austin, and I'm like, that's exactly why I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, Austin. I think the people that moved to Austin, the Peter Thiels of the world. Well, I don't know if he moved there, but the hims of the world that are like, Silicon Valley's out of control. The group conformity is too much. The innovation's dying because whatever it is, right? Housings are too high. All of the stuff, right? So they basically all moved to Austin. It seems like over the last 4 or 3 years, kind of thing. And then now it's sort of caught up where Austin's back to where Silicon Valley is now.
Right. I think it's South by Southwest too. Because I remember the first time I went to South by, I was so excited. I got invited to speak. Yeah. And then I was like, this is a lie. The whole thing was a lie. Like nobody cared about anything going on. It was just an excuse to go hang out with your buddies. It was like all these Silicon Valley dudes getting drunk. And I was like, that's cool if that's your thing.
Dude, that's like Burning Man. You're like, this cool hippie thing. And you're like, everyone here works on Wall Street.
Yeah, and you show up and they're like in luxury. That's why I have friends who are like, I love going to Burning Man. And I'm like, they did a Quiznos commercial there, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. That's why I'm like, look.
I'm not hanging out with some guy, a Silicon Valley guy, and this dude with moon shoes and dreadlocks on.
Yeah, no. You know what I think would be really cool, and I think we need is people need to go make their own places. I was looking at a bunch of really small towns in the middle of nowhere that were dying out.
Yeah, that's kind of what you're doing a little bit, right?
A little bit, but
you're one step away from seasteading.
Well, I mean, that'd be cool too.
Dude, the Tim Pool complex.
Just get like a big mega yacht and just go off and be like armed guards and fight off pirates. No, but like, wouldn't it be cool if all these rich people, they're going to Austin, and I'm like, but why? It's gonna you give it 10 years and it'll be exactly what you left. Because all these people are rushing there like, I want to go somewhere that's cool and hip, and California's gross. And it's like, dude, California had one party rule forever. They have a supermajority in LA, and they couldn't pass any of these reforms to fix their problems. And all these people are going to go to Austin who don't care about Austin. They're going to go to these areas of Texas. They don't care about Texas, and you're going to get the same problem. People move to LA. They're not from LA, so they don't care about the community's problems. No. So they pass the buck. LA falls to crap and they move again. They bounce around. It's like the aliens from Independence Day. You know what I'm talking? You see that movie? How they just like they come to Earth because they're gonna strip it clean of resources and then leave.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, no.
I mean, and I do get that because I'm not from New York, and there's all this, when people were like, can you believe he said that about New York? And I was like, what do I care? Like, I'm Canadian. I'm like, I'm here because it's like a good place to do stand-up, and it is a hub of the world for culture. And I think the best comedy in the world is happening there, especially right now.
Was.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm half kidding. But
you're right, dude. You're right.
Yeah. What was that story where like a comedy club did an outdoor event and they got shut down?
Yeah, I mean, they basically allowed them and then they shut them down. So I got like an email last week from a lot of people being like, yeah, that show's canceled or whatever.
That's so dumb. You know, man, here's what I'm saying.
They're pushing their luck. That's what they're saying. They go, no one's going anywhere. And everyone's like, yeah, we kind of will though,
Go to, I don't know, Nebraska or something. There's tons of open space.
Dude, people
build your own place.
Yeah, you're moving. Like, people will move for what they want to do. I mean, I just did. Like, I was in Toronto. I didn't like the way that it was shaking down there. I saw something here, and I felt like I could make a better life. And then I moved here. So
you see, this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? See, these people and these communists in California moved to Austin, and you, a Canadian communist, you moved. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's you.
But no, but it is actually kind of funny.
I want half your views on this. We should split
our
the views. Yeah, no, yes, they are my views.
Our views.
Yes, we will split the views.
Our
on this
video.
Now let's get these super chats since I'm taking half of the money.
Right,
when did you come down from Canada?
Less than a year ago.
So before COVID?
Yeah. So I was here. Whack timing. Right?
You snuck in.
Yeah, dude. I came here. And then I did like 4 or 5 months, enough to make some, meet people and get in all these comedy clubs, and then boom, COVID. So,
wow.
But,
so now you're trapped.
Yeah, it's okay. I like New York. I mean, lots of cool stuff's happening right now, so it's fun, man. I mean, people are innovative, right? It's like even this go back to, listen, like what happened in the last little while. The industry was so. We only want this one type of thing. And then look at people like you that created your whole little empire here, right? And I mean, same thing, the whole podcasting empire. Like all of those people would have had TV shows 5 years ago, but they're like, we don't want this type of guy on TV. And it's like,
Exactly.
They essentially, people are very inventive, and especially I would say like 1 in 100 people in America has the values of like, I'm going to accomplish what I would like to do no matter what. And if you even have 1 in 100, that's 3 million people that are willing to do anything to get what they want, right? So if you say, okay, we don't want this type of comedy, it's like, okay, we'll create our own thing. And there's a lot of people that are willing to do whatever it takes in America. And I think that's one of the things I like about it here.
So do you think these big industry, so Netflix did have a Rogan special, they had a Dave Chappelle special. Do you think
those are legacy people, right? Like there is a point where you get so big. And the truth is I even disagree with, not necessarily Rogan, but the way Ricky Gervais talks about cancel culture and jokes, I disagree with him. Like, because his take on that sort of thing is always, oh, it's just jokes. Like you should be able to joke about anything. But a lot of times I'm saying these jokes and my audience knows I'm ironic and they actually know the right opinions.
Yeah.
So he basically says, and I know if you're in that position, he needs to say, no, I'm one of the good guys. I'm just making jokes. But the truth is, when Ricky Gervais says that, he's like, let's say he has a whole thing making fun of Caitlyn Jenner, like saying that she's not actually hot or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And they go, okay, they're not laughing at that because they actually know it's wrong. They're laughing at that because it's a little bit true and they know they're not supposed to laugh at it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of components to the formula. One of them being they're not supposed to. One of them being like it's a little bit true, but you're not supposed to say it. And it's sometimes they are laughing at something that is like obviously not true. Like if I said like, oh yeah, I'm just very racist. Like everyone's like, he's obviously being ironic or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, but the way that they talk about it is they go, no, I'm playing a character and my audience is so not racist that everyone knows. And it's like sometimes, but sometimes you're saying uncomfortable truths and that's why you're getting like a laugh of people being like, that is kind of true. And they don't take credit for that. And because they don't take credit for that, other people kind of end up having to play in a dishonest ballpark because, so I'd rather some of those people just stay out of it if you're going to lie.
You know what's really weird? I think somehow Trump has become the center of the cultural universe.
He has, dude. That's why I was saying, sorry, I keep interrupting you.
No. Yeah.
If the funnier option forever to me was Trump wins again. Forever.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, that's what forever. I was like, Trump wins again, meltdowns. And then very recently, I started to sort of change my brain where I go, maybe the funnier option is Trump loses, and just think of every anti-Trump blog, every anti-Trump blog, you know what I mean? Every reply guy on Twitter that his whole identity is hating Trump. I was thinking about doing a video of this actually, but the day after Trump wins, they're just like, I guess pack our bags, deletes his Twitter account, walks off into the ocean.
Just slowly sinks.
That might be the funnier option now.
But they're actually talking about it. They're talking about the future after Trump. Because all these media companies, it's just Trump. I remember last week, Trump bought the front page ad for the Washington Post online.
Yeah.
Every article, Trump. And I'm like, he just bought the front page ad, dude. You need to give him every other portion of the front page. It's like he didn't even need to buy it. No, but he was trying to push back and make Biden and Kamala look bad. But that's I mean, what I know people who have made a pathetic career off of just hating Trump.
I mean, it's the oldest trick in the book to build a media company in an election cycle or whatever. That's anyone who starts a blog and all that stuff. They kind of know how you do it. But they didn't even do that this time. They didn't start a media companies on a election cycle. They started a media company on a guy.
Yep.
And there were some people, I mean, there's that girl that's like getting a Netflix special. Her whole shtick is that she lip syncs like Trump speeches or whatever.
Insane.
Yeah, like
she didn't even write jokes.
And whatever you want to think about it, it's like, what happens like to her if Trump's like just gone?
Yeah.
Trump's like just a guy now. Think about these people. It's like, I have a whole YouTube channel about why Trump's bad. Now he's just a guy.
They're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, they just follow him around to his house.
But for real. Yeah. So, what is this woman's name? Do you know her name?
Like, look what Trump ate yesterday.
Yeah.
He's racist, dude.
It's gonna be like 80-year-old Trump in a wheelchair with a blanket on his lap in the sun. He's gonna be sitting there, and he's gonna just be like watching Fox News, and they're gonna be writing articles about it.
Trump reads the game.
They're gonna be like, "Did you see Trump's latest wheelchair? Look at it! Look at his nurse. His latest nurse. How old is she? 40? Whoa, Trump going for the young women. How despicable.
Yeah, they're going to have to pick a new guy. They're going to be like, I don't know, Pence is bad. They're like, it's not the same.
There's two things. It's Pence. Pence is so boring.
It's not the same. They're not getting the same buzz.
There's two things I think. They'll still rag on Trump. They'll try for a long time. So they'll keep going. The other thing is that they'll do the exact same thing they do, but without Trump. So like if you look at CNN,
who's the new boogeyman after Trump's gone?
No, but Trumpism. It'll be about his followers. They'll maintain the same narrative, and they'll just keep going after. It's like the painting exists. They'll take Trump out of it, but the whole landscape, it's still there.
Yeah.
So I think what's likely to happen is you got these companies, CNN. Their whole Sunday morning program is literally like Fox News all day, every day. And I make fun of them all the time for it because I'm like, dude, you realize you guys are just the Fox News review channel, right?
Yeah.
Like when I complain about the mainstream media, it's always like it's a bunch of different outlets, and I'm complaining, and I often say not every single journalist at these outlets, of course. It's these like political, politicos in the Beltway in D.C. But they literally have a show where it's like the dude wrote a book about Fox News.
Yeah.
That's all he has. That's crazy.
No.
And Trump, but when Trump's gone, that shtick they've developed, it's not going to go away. I mean, look, Russia. You're familiar with Russiagate.
I'm not saying necessarily it'll go away. I'm more saying that no one's going to want to watch it. So they can keep doing it, and they'll be like, we'll keep doing the plug in the model. It's like, instead of being like, can you believe what Trump said? They'll just have to, can you believe, I don't know, like they'll pick another guy, right? But I don't think anyone's going to care. Like what gets the clicks is Trump goes out, says some crazy stuff, and then they go, look at this crazy stuff he's saying. And then the right-wing publications go, look at this crazy stuff they're saying.
It's not even about what Trump says. It's like Trump
stirs up some energy and they get to write an article.
They stir it up. I mean, sometimes Trump, for sure. Trump loves stirring. I'm almost swearing. Trump loves to stir it up.
Yeah.
But there will be times where like Trump will walk into a room and he'll go, "Thank you all for coming," and they'll go, and they'll be writing like, "Did you hear what he said? Thank you all. What is you all? Who's all? Who's?"
Yeah, they're like soccer players that got
that got injured.
That's the entire CNN
dude, that's
organization.
That's the perfect way to
players.
explain it.
Yeah.
Trump walks in and pats him on the shoulder, and CNN goes, and they fall down, and they're writing 50 articles. There, what was that one article we were talking about from The Nation? It was like they took every single possible negative stereotype about it was like about Ivanka or something.
Yeah, so they wrote an entire article about Ivanka's dress or something.
And it just like crammed keywords into this article where it was like, white nationalists think that transgender feminists in the patriarchy with red dresses, and it's like it was very clearly a nonsensical article, had no premise. And they stuffed all the keywords into it so they could put it on Google, and Google would prop it up.
Yeah,
that's the name of the game. But no, I think
that's wild.
It is funny. I'll tell you this: when Trump won in 2016, I laughed harder than I've laughed. It was like one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It was because, for me, it was like cathartic. The Democrats getting comeuppance. They cheated Bernie. They thought they were going to win. They made fun of Trump. They mocked his supporters.
Dude, anyone puritanical losing the battle that they base their entire identity of is always like,
And so right now, you bring up an interesting point. Because I've said this too. I've said if Biden wins, I'm just going to laugh. I'm going to laugh really, really hard.
Yeah. Funny either way. I think at this point,
I'm worried. I'm worried. Like, so I'm going to be voting for Trump, and the riots are the main.
Are you going full MAGA? You get a MAGA beanie?
No MAGA. People want me to wear a
Dude,
MAGA.
that'd be so funny.
I don't like supporting any tribe or any party or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this: with all the riots, especially how bad it was last night, the only reason the Democrats came out now, this is so messed up. They've been saying peaceful protests over and over again, nonstop, and then Don Lemon comes out on CNN and he's like, "This is starting to show up in the polls. Democrats better address it." It's like, oh, is that the only thing you cared about?
Should they?
That made me angry. And so, seeing all this death, 32 people have died. I'm just like, they keep lying about this. And Trump keeps saying we got to stop the violence. And when they don't do it, they blame him for it. And I'm like, the president doesn't have the right to intervene in the states and localities. That's local law enforcement. And Trump keeps saying, please, I've got law enforcement. You can use them. And they say, no, more people die. Please, National Guard, no, more people die. Finally now, they're starting to say yes. And so that pissed me off. So now I'm like, you know what, man, I'm going to vote for Trump. I think he wants to withdraw troops from Afghanistan. He wants to do term limits. He wants to end the riots. He wants to prosecute these extremists. Fine, whatever. I'm done with these.
I heard he was going to remove the women's vote, which is a nice.
Yeah. Straight up. Yeah. Number one agenda, repeal the 19th.
Yeah, there is a third party, and I don't know if you know this, Tim, but I've also decided I was going to run for president as the first president exclusively for the boys.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard this. Men will pay no taxes, and girls will pay double the taxes.
Oh, yeah, because girls have cooties.
Yeah, no girlfriends are allowed to take their boyfriends on Saturdays. So that's my platform.
I love it.
I'm going to need you to speak to some of your friends at Google and high up places because as a Canadian, they have banned me from running. But
there's good
news.
So
we're working on that detail.
There was an op-ed in the Washington Post saying that we should remove the natural born citizen requirement.
Yes.
No, I'm like, get out of here. That's crazy.
Do not get out of here. So get back in here.
Ryan stay.
I do think it's fun. I will. If Biden wins, I'm gonna laugh. Because you know why? Because I'm not the kind of person who's gonna like sulk and cry. And go, I'm gonna laugh and be like, this is a crazy
dude.
life.
You're also
like
a cultural commentator. I think that your personal viewpoint is like a percentage of what you do, but I don't think that influences you entirely.
Well, I think everything I say about everything is exactly what I believe. It's just raw consciousness. I don't.
Well, but if you were talking about the facts of something, I don't know if you're. Well, you tell me. Like when you're talking about something, like, do you consider that you're like, this is what I think, or do you sometimes be like, I'm telling you what happened?
Well, yeah. So a lot of the articles I do, I'm like, here's the story, here's what I think,
and then here's what I think. Second,
but everything I think is literally what I think, and I don't want Biden to win. I think I don't think he's all with it. That's worrying to me.
No, I mean, understatement of the year.
For sure.
Come on, man.
He's like Cosmic Joe. He's in outer space half the time.
Yeah, dude. Both these guys are like 1,000 years old, but Trump's way more with it. Obviously.
For sure. And as far as I'm concerned, he's the one who's been consistent on. Look, we had a great first 3 years with the economy, and so I give him credit for that. He's improved a bit. But anyway, the point I was trying to bring up is not like to be like, hey, Trump, just to be like, I'm not gonna. If Trump wins, I'm gonna be like, whoa, wow. Because the thing that scares me the most is that all this wokeness stuff that we've been making fun of and laughing about, it's infecting these government agencies.
It's already happened, yeah.
You know, the CDC, 10% of their staff demanded a nationwide health crisis. They want racism to be declared a nationwide health crisis.
Yeah, I know.
10%. People don't realize, man, you get 10% of a staff, and I was reading a study that said 10% is all you need for an ideology to dominate a culture. So if the CDC actually starts enforcing this insanity, it's like you've got some Democratic politicians calling on Joe Biden to condemn the people defending property, not the extremists who are burning it down.
Right.
That scares me. And I think we're headed towards dark times. But I'll tell you what, I'm leaving where I'm at, and all you can do is I think a lot of times all you can do is laugh. Yeah, so if Biden won, I'd laugh. And it's not because
that's the purpose of laughter, like in the first place, from a legitimate, evolutionary level. It's like when things get too bad, it's like you can release pressure, and
right.
It is, right?
So either way, no matter who wins, I'm gonna go out to the middle of nowhere. I'm gonna get some goats and some chickens and just like kick back and grow some tomatoes or whatever.
Wait for that call to go to the Vice. One last job.
One last job, Tim. And they open the big briefcase with one little tiny ring.
No, but you are right. Like the amount of times people kind of say, I'm making all these videos about this stuff, and the people that are kind of wrapped up in this go, oh, as if it's like that. And then the rest of the world messages me like, it's exactly like that.
Yeah.
I've been working at these companies. It's insane how pervasive
It's getting
it
worse.
is. Yeah, I mean.
So unless we straight up say no, hard no.
Yeah, and everyone kind of has, but it's hard to fight if you're a normal person, because it's one thing where you say, oh, this guy disagrees with me. It's another thing where they go, this guy is racist, and a normal person goes, what? No, I'm not. And they go, yeah, he's transphobic and homophobic. You're like, ah! Like they don't, if you're just some guy working at some job, it's hard to deal with this stuff.
If Trump wins every state, I think it'll be the end of the woke insurrection, whatever. Because I think it
could go the other way though, right? Like, because a lot of this is a temper tantrum, right? It's like, that's what I was saying. One of the things I was going to do a video about being the first president that runs exclusively on 20-year-old girl opinions, the lifeblood of the media.
Seriously.
A lot of these candidates have 1 or 10% 20-year-old girl opinions. I have all 21-year-old girl opinions. But it is kind of that, right? So I don't know. It's a temper tantrum.
You've got a small group, but it's growing. And they are dominating our cultural institutions, our big media brands, our advertisers, our news outlets. But they don't make up anywhere near the majority. They're probably not even, they probably just barely crack the double digits.
They make up probably the majority of the institutions, whether that be Hollywood,
universities. I don't think so.
You don't think in the universities?
I think it's a strong enough percentage, and they're terroristic. And so they get what they want whenever they want.
Yeah, probably.
So that's why there are professors who get fired, because some people will stand up and say no, and they'll get kicked out.
Based professors.
Well, Brett Weinstein, his story with Evergreen.
Of course.
Yeah, so it's
I
like
did an interview with James Lindsay about it.
Yeah. So Brett's he's a progressive guy, but he's not insane like these people are. So I think
it is funny how guys like that kind of got thrown into like the bad boy thing.
Yeah.
But he's still wearing like khaki shorts.
Right.
He's kind of showing up like the bad boy university professor, and he's got like the polo shirt and the
not
sandals and socks on.
Not considered to be like a celebrity hip guy.
Yeah.
But he's all right, right?
Fight the power.
But imagine this. Netflix, right? They put up their Black Lives Matter message. What do you think happens when everyone looks at the election results and it's just like Trump 50 state sweep? Then these companies are going to be like, we're marketing the wrong people.
Do you think that's possible?
Yeah.
Right now they're saying he's going to lose, but the polls are always wrong.
No, right now Trump's winning.
Did it just switch?
So several polls have come out recently. Trump's ahead in Wisconsin, and he's trailing Biden in 15 battleground states, according to CNN, by 1 point with a 4-point margin of error. So actually, I think I might.
It's so hard to get information right now. You turn on one thing, and it's like.
Yeah, people are scared, dude.
We got this tweet. This is from Walker Bragman. Who's this guy? He's a journalist for I don't know a podcast. But check this out. He says August 24th, 2016. In Wisconsin, Clinton's up 11.5, Pennsylvania 9.2, North Carolina 1.7, Florida 3.6, Michigan 8, Ohio 4.8. Joe Biden's margins today are lower than Clinton's were.
Why did you think this changed? Like, why did Trump go back up?
Joe Biden's been hiding in the basement. And I'm not kidding. He's literally in his home basement.
Anything.
He's hiding, and the riots have been getting worse. We just had 2 guys killed yesterday, and Joe Biden was hiding in his basement. Donald Trump was tweeting up a storm. So you can complain about Trump, and his obnoxious tweets, but he's there. Joe Biden came out with a statement today that was bland and nonsensical. We must get justice for this man, and violence doesn't solve anything.
Joe Biden comes out with a statement. He's like, I'd like to make a statement. We here at the house are out of peanut butter. If anyone,
please help us.
Look, fat. We've got only about 2 tablespoons left.
We eat pudding.
And my pants are wet. I don't know why.
Oh.
Where's Jill?
Poor Joe.
Yeah. Poor Joe. So this poll,
I have run out of denture cream. If anyone would be so kind as to bring me some more. I have a Zoom interview with Charlemagne.
Trump's old, but like he doesn't come off like Biden does.
No,
Biden is
I hope when I'm like Trump's age, I'm that chipper.
Yeah, dude. I guess what's Trump, 74?
Mm-hmm.
He's up there.
He's spry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Joe Biden is like, ooh. So anyway, there's a lot of reasons why Trump's been improving in the polls. There's 2 things. Not only is the race tightening, this is probably because Biden is, in my opinion, not actually running. I mean, he's literally running, but he's not campaigning. He's not doing anything. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're buying ads, but come on. He's not making appearances. He's not rallying. He's not going out. And politics is a ground game. You got to go out there. You got to meet people. You got to kiss.
Yeah.
You got to shake babies and kiss hands. If you know what I mean.
He's doing.
I'm
the
kidding.
Thing
The
where
other
he's
way
like,
around.
No, yeah. He's doing the like. I hope Trump just screws up so bad that they're like, all right, enough of this.
I think they're completely inept. I think the challenge right now for the Democrats is that you got riots where people are dying, 32 people, and the
guy just got shot. We were just talking about.
Yeah, well, 2 guys, and so you've got the far left that endorses this stuff. They love it.
Yeah, they're stoked.
When the looting happened in Chicago, Black Lives Matter came out and said, "Good, what they did was reparations. I'm glad, good for them." So what's Joe Biden supposed to say? The riots are bad. Then he's going to lose half of the left. He's going to lose all these young woke far leftists. If he comes out and says the riots are good, then he's going to lose everybody to Trump. So he's just like, I don't know what to do. So he just hides in the basement.
I guess the idea is, I mean, I kind of argued this a little bit different than what you're saying, is that because I felt a lot of people on the internet are kind of saying, you know, and I do see it that Kamala was a bad choice, but I have had some people in normal life that are kind of your middle of the road swing voters, and they see Kamala as like, oh, someone sensible. So I think there are some people that are kind of.
I was talking to some family members who said that.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
In the Chicago suburbs, they're looking at Kamala as like, oh, thank heavens the Democrats have brought in someone who can stop the riots.
100%. Some people see it as like, okay, she's not a crazy radical.
I'm not going to vote for her. You know, like I'm here to vote for a president, not for an old feeble man who's going to hire someone to do the job for him. Mm-hmm. My vote is not for, and I don't like Kamala Harris. I think she's awful. I think she's an authoritarian, and a lot of people like that. She's going to do something, and they don't like Trump. So I think, you know, I think right now it's close. It's a close race with Trump, according to these polls. I think Trump's in the lead based off of the Beltway bubble, which is these journalists who only follow each other. And I think the polls are skewed because they don't know how to poll Trump's base. And that was true in 2016, and they admit it's true today. They don't know what to do.
No, you can't trust these polls as far as you can throw them.
But when the polls are coming out now saying Trump's within the margin of error, then it's probably he's several points up. And I just can't believe that with the riots going on for 3 months. Have you heard any of these C-SPAN phone calls? These people call in, and this like lady's like, we've had riots in my town. I'm in Minnesota and in Minneapolis, and the Democrats didn't say anything about it. What about us? She's like, within 2 days of the Republican convention, I feel like there's hope again to like deal with this. And the guy on C-SPAN asked her, like, are you scared of the riots? And she's like, yes.
Yeah, no, some people are. They're like, you know, I
think most people
lots of people said this, that Trump's just going to be like, yeah, I'm just going to get things back to normal so no one's smashing your windows. And everyone's like, yeah, all in, dude. Like, that's enough. But it is true what you're saying. Like, if, you know how we're saying that if Trump gets in or Trump loses, like all these people, you're like, what do they even talk about? It's the same kind of thing as like if the left just said like, yeah, remember we got a little out of hand. We're not going to do this identity politics stuff anymore. We're not going to tell everyone that they're racist. Everyone would be like, all right, you're back in. And then the right would be like, because there's a lot of the right that's just like, yo, this stuff's whack.
Yep.
But all it takes is, it wouldn't be that hard for them to do that, but they won't, right? So it's just too ingrained. They're too crazy. And people are too sick of that stuff.
Gallup poll shows that the dominant wing of the Democratic Party is the strong liberal or whatever. So the moderate and conservative Democrats of, the past 10, 20, 30 years, they're gone. They probably joined the Republican Party because we see that data too. And they're not going to give it up because these young people who are starting to take over are they're in the cult.
Dude, I see so many young people that are like 20 that they don't even care about politics. They're just like, yo, I'm a Trump guy. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
The same way that, if your parents or like your millennial parents are like, Trump's the devil. If you like Trump, you're the worst. And you're like, yo, give me a MAGA hat. My mom's going to be so pissed.
Well, there's the inverse to that. The MAGA parents and the kids being like, F you, Trump sucks. And then they go on post their TikToks and stuff.
For sure. Yeah. But I think it's more the other way around because the pervasive, like, it's different because it's your parents are also saying the same thing that everyone's saying.
Yeah. Right.
It's more like before, if you had liberal parents, it's like, I don't think you would have done this, right?
Exactly.
It used to work the other way. Like you had the religious parents and you're like, I'm actually going to be a prostitute.
Now you've got like this 16-year-old kid whose mom is like super anti-Trump.
Yeah, she's religious about,
and he walks in with the hat and she's like, what are you doing, Bill? And he goes, shut up, mom. Trump 2020.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh.
I'm listening to the boss. Can you imagine though if you had a mom like, and you came in and you go, just so you know, there's no such thing as gender, and you're like, Mom, I'm a boy, and you're like, no, you're not. It's how messed up.
Mom, I'm a boy. No, you're not.
No.
I do not have a son.
No,
Yeah.
apparently not.
You're like, I'm not gay. You might be gay.
Stop being a bigot.
Yeah, dude. And
Open your heart. Mom, stop. It's my girlfriend.
you got to bring home your, to that. Your mom comes home and she's like, this is my mom. And she's like, and you're like, this is my parent. She doesn't identify as a mom or dad.
Parental figure number one.
Yeah, you'd be so afraid to ever bring your, you would rebel against that so hard. I'd be
Embarrassing you.
Yeah, I would be going to school with an American flag on my back if I was that guy.
Yep.
You're Canadian.
Even in Canada, I'd be full in. I'd be Macho Man Randy Savage with a flag on my back.
Oh yeah.
Just,
Let's read super chats.
let's super chat. Can I grab a water before we do it?
Grab some water?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Or any drink whatsoever.
Go grab it. I
Here,
will.
can I grab it for you?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, let me grab it for you.
Yeah, sweet. Thank you.
All right. While that water's being okay, perfect.
No,
So-
I can. You know what? Actually, yeah. Let's wait till the water comes.
Well, we're gonna sit in silence for about 2 minutes.
Yeah. Let's get this H2O.
All right. OMG Trey says, boys. Ryan.
Boys.
Does everyone in a ska band get a Walt Jabsco tattoo?
What's a Walt Jabsco tattoo?
I have no idea.
No, this is a Selector. I think this is.
Is that because you were in a ska band?
Camera, yeah. But that's Fast Forward Selector. The specials and all that stuff.
No, I don't know what it is.
No, it's Selector was like a label and like a movement of ska. So this is like the two-tone guy. He's
there you go.
Skanking, if you know what that is.
Yes, skanking.
It's what how you dance and also what girls all do.
Oh, I see how it is.
Tim and Lids, keep up the good work. Spin that UFO. Much love from Delaware, right across the bridge. Keep it up. Appreciate it. All right, let's see what else we got. MD Monroe says, love the work you are all doing. The race baiting by the media has hurt the fabric of the country. How do we hold the media accountable? Should we? I'm torn due to freedom of the press, but they've turned into propaganda machines versus news. I think they're going to fade out. I think they're going to fizzle out. I think they're going to go because...
Yeah. I think they're trying to do master race baiting, drop the race.
Wait, what?
Oh, I see how it is.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Thank you for this.
social media is meritocracy. Your videos were good.
It's great, dude. It's fun
So-
that it exists, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you get to do your thing and people find it and you can actually build an audience. It really is changing the game. And the way that I see that it's shaking down. And you already see it with people like you and people that are doing paywalls. And I bet you it's only a matter of time before you're kind of like, oh, I'll have like 4 people on my different channels. And you kind of eventually, I was thinking about this. I bet you people will start these movements, and you see it in podcasting, these little networks, and eventually Amazon and these streaming services will kind of be like, you know what, we'll get the Andrew Schultz channel and we'll have his 5 things on there, and I think it's going to go that way.
Here's the problem with Netflix or any other network.
You'll be able to buy the Tim Pool channel on your...
If any network comes to me and they're like, yo, we want the exclusive rights to your show, I'd be like, I mean, look, Rogan did it with Spotify.
Yeah.
But I just be like, why? I'm good.
Well, I think
have no
in that
boss.
case, obviously, the Y is 200 milli.
Oh, is that what it was? Was it reported?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This is pretty
I don't know
public.
that
No,
much.
Joe messaged me personally and just told me that.
Oh, well, there you go. We got
Sorry,
an inside
Joe.
source.
No, that was a pretty public information.
Yeah, I guess if a network came to me, look, man.
That changed your mind, eh?
No,
Well, that's the
no,
thing.
no,
If
no,
they
no.
get into the game late, they got to drop off a
I
bag of cash.
was going to say the inverse. I was going to say, I guess if these networks came to me and they offered me that much money, I'd be like, what's my freedom worth?
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want.
Mine, that's it. That's the
I don't know,
price.
man. Look, people don't realize this, but
I
like
think he negotiated a deal where he's free still.
I jokingly say I'm a socialist, but like I'm not. What would I do with $200 million? Give it away?
No, I know.
I can't. I know people who are really wealthy, and I'm like, what do you do? Like, what do you do? What are you gonna do with all that money?
I'm the exact same way, dude. Like, I've had times in my life where I, especially working in entertainment, there's always like big pockets where you make a lot of money that, in one little chunk. And I don't even go out for a nicer dinner that day. Like, I make 0 changes. I don't wear different clothes. I don't buy a new car. I'm just not that person.
Kraft macaroni and cheese, nothing in it, not even salt.
Yeah, not even salt. Wieners, Canadian style. Dude, seriously, it's like you have a good day, make a bunch of money, and then I look at it,
put
and
in
then
the bank and
go to the comedy club and tell jokes again. Like, I don't know, I don't care.
You know what I would do? I would like, heaven forbid these uptight, stodgy moralists ever saw me get $200 million, because I would like build a massive like
beanie rack.
Yes, and I would just have all different colors. No. It would be, how do you describe it? It would be like kind of like Disneyland, but for just like I don't know, weird shenanigans. We have like our own space. You know, I get like a bunch of big warehouses. I have people just do whatever they want. Some people would be making like laser induced plasma channels.
Basically the warehouse from Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Yeah. You know, people make music.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing.
That is,
you know?
dude, you're already doing that. Exactly.
But
you don't need $200 million to do that.
You know, the challenge is with having all this money is that you can't, there is a limit to where it's like, what do you really want to do? Because I like to imagine that you make a bunch of money and you're like, now I can help people do better.
Yeah.
But you can't. Giving money to somebody doesn't help them do better.
Giving money to someone that's doing, someone like you would.
No. There's like, I really don't believe there's any amount of money someone could give me that would improve the work I do.
Well, I'll tell you a perfect example. Like there's, you know, right now where I'm at, there's a lot of people, and I kind of have thought that too. A lot of people, I was talking about this, but a lot of people are like, oh, I want to like invest in you. And you're like, invest in what? Like my SpongeBob SquarePants costume? Like, what are you investing in, right? But then, you know, there was some guys that actually came to me and they're like, let's make a movie. And it's like kind of serious. And they're put together this budget. And so now, you know, I might make this movie, right? Things like that. You know, obviously most people, like, I get what you're saying. Like most people, you'll give them money and they'll blow it and whatever. But you pick the right person. You're like, here's money funding to make a movie outside of the system. We'll pay. So you can, you know, pick the right guy. That's the Silicon Valley startup model.
I guess that's one way to put it is it's not easy. You know, you try to invest in people. And I think the challenge I find is I've worked with a lot of people and I'll be like, okay, so I can help you do these things. But if they don't fight for it and earn it themselves, you know, so I've met a lot of people who are like, I really want to do X, and then I'll be like, great, let's go, and then they just go, oh, I guess I didn't want to.
Well, why don't you do XXX and here's the money?
That's perfect.
I got a black leather couch right over there in the room.
Oh my gosh,
Tim Pool Hub.
We are so far from family friendly for this episode.
Really? No, we never swore though.
No, but you talked about we talked about dudes on mountaintops.
Yeah,
putting on wigs.
What is wrong with dudes on mountaintops?
Nothing wrong with that.
So anyway, the point is,
yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
unless you like want to build a town or something.
You know what I would say the answer to that is you need to find people that have failed at it themselves a few times and then had success at it a few times.
Exactly.
So it's like, and then, have both failed and succeeded and then replicated the success.
And I will
that's what you want to invest in.
I will absolutely clarify. What I mean to say is, obviously, if somebody's like, you know, they're like, there's a comedian who just got evicted and now they can't find any work and they've got no cash. Money clearly helps them succeed. What I mean to say
it doesn't help them succeed. It just helps them, you know.
It stabilizes them. Yeah. What I mean to say is that if you had all this money to invest in a project, it's really, really difficult to find people where you can give them money and it's going to make the project happen. Because most people I've met, and this is even true for me when I was younger, like you put me in this position, you put anyone in this position, they have no experience in how to make it happen. It's not going to happen.
No.
And so this is why investors, it's really funny. They say investors typically invest in people who don't need it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's really, really difficult. And that's why it ends up with someone like Joe Rogan who doesn't need the money being like, sure, why not?
Yeah, of course.
So it's like, I guess. So it's
you want to invest people that would have been successful with or without you, and you just make them the best software to be involved in it.
Yeah. Matt Cabral says, love all your stuff, Ryan. Tim and Lydia, I'm from Massachusetts, and I have never seen more Trump gear flags and signs. There was even a Trump gear store opened. I see many people coming in and out. I'm calling a landslide in Massachusetts for Trump.
Yeah, when I was traveling through the, I don't know, I guess it would, not the South, but I went to Nashville, and we kept stopping at places. And there'd be like a place that just sold like briskets. And then it was one little brisket thing and then racks and racks of Trump gear. I know how you have that, like the Biden life size.
Yeah.
Life size Trump posters everywhere. Yeah. It was just.
We got a life size Trump.
Yeah. And it would just be like with lights and so yeah, I've seen that
amazing.
Too. Just the amount of Trump stuff everywhere, decked out.
That sounds awesome.
It's so fun.
So
I love it.
The Civic Nationalist says, Tim, porn stars want your contact information.
That's the video. Yeah.
You should advocate civic nationalism. It's how the West was before all this BS. Freedom over equality.
Too big of words for me, nerd.
We're gonna read more super chats, but you should probably shout out your socials, your channel.
Yeah.
Stuff.
If you don't mind, if you'd be so kind and much obliged to go subscribe to my channel, youtube.com/RyanLongComedy. I release a video every single Monday. All of my channels are at Ryan Long Comedy on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of those. And my podcast, The Boys Cast with Ryan Long, comes out every Friday. And more importantly, potentially most importantly, which is very important because Tim, I didn't tell you this, but I missed my train on the way here, so then I Ubered and I took a $500 Uber.
No, are you?
But your fans are gonna make up to me by subscribing to Patreon.com/theboyscast.
I see how this works.
Patreon.com/theboyscast. No, it was getting stressful, so I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna call it.
Was it really that expensive?
I think it was like $400, but
Oh no!
Gosh.
Listen, I invested in Smith
comfortable.
and Wesson yesterday on my buddy's advice, and I put some cash in there, and they're like, "Whoo, take a peek at that
Smart.
puppy." So covered 6 Ubers.
There you go.
No,
Wow.
well, actually, it covered 0 Ubers. Invest in my Patreon. Appreciate that.
Sorry.
Josh Wishart said, "Yes, Ryan is awesome." There
Thank you
go.
very much.
That's
Josh.
not a question, but Julio Villalta says, "Hey from Chicago, love the show and happy you hit 1 million subs. Chicago's already prepping for a rough weekend with streets barricaded in Gold Coast. Keep up the great work."
Yes, congrats on 1 million subs too. By the way.
Oh, thank you.
That's
Yeah,
good.
and
Very
congrats
cool.
Chicago for all the civil unrest, destruction, and
Doing very
death.
well over
Yeah.
there.
How do you pronounce this? Callan says, "Canceling NBA sounds like a win-win-win. Players sacrifice pay and have time to protest. Owners renegotiate salary for lower viewership. NBA fans now watch RNC and see Trump. Isn't that bad?" There you go. All right, let's see. Eric A says, "Thanks for keeping us informed and having the best guests. JRE better look out. Did you see that Breonna Taylor is turning out to be another false narrative? It was not no-knock raid. Brandon Tatum has on his news site. There's a lot more. I don't know about the raid, but I know that apparently some document came out that claimed she had connections to one of the drug dealers they were looking for or something. So I don't know if you know anything about that, but
Yeah, I know. I mean, it feels like I'm constantly in a loop of people being like, "Look at this, the cops are bad," and they're like, "Check out the real video, the cops are good."
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's
Well, yeah.
sometimes it's one, sometimes
Like-
it's the other, probably.
I'm not
There's
gonna.
so many videos you guys.
Well, we got Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and Jacob Blake. These stories coming out all within the past couple of days. That's like, hey, wait a minute, that's not what they said.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily that cops are good, but that that was kind of just a messed up situation where everyone screwed up. And it's like,
Yeah, it
what do we?
seems to
How
be
do
a
how do we?
trend.
Yeah, a lot of times it is.
Right.
You know, it's like all of the things, and the problem is people want to put it all in one and the other, like it isn't. They like to think of gender as a spectrum, but they don't like to think of people screwing up as a spectrum.
Exactly. I noticed that too.
All right, let's see. Josephine Whitaker says, "Not my real name. Love the Boys Cast and Timcast. Boys, boys, boys."
Boys.
Boom. Now, let's see. Nightingale Maury says, "Question. I heard Tim ranting about being forced off the fence by Dems and voting for Trump. Also, he doesn't wear the MAGA beanie. Where could I re-find it? And if Tim allows me to work on a little animation." Yeah, I was forced off the fence because I don't want to be in anybody's tribe. I don't want to like walk over to a group and be like, "I'm with you." I want to be like, "Nah, you all get away from me and leave me alone. I do my
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, I'm gonna be over here with my
I always
hippie
say
farm."
that, for me, it's like people, and it is true. People always want to say, "Are you on this side or that side?" It's like, first of all, I identify as a comedian, so that's the most important thing to me. But I'm always going to be more against the side that's telling me what to do, right? So people always talk left and right, but it's more authoritarianism versus freedom, right?
Right.
So if I moved here and if the right was like, "Listen, these are the topics you can't talk about," and they were at one point, but right
Yep.
now, it's probably more the other side being like, "This is what you can say. Here's the off-limit topics." I say way worse stuff about the church, and if this was 10 years ago, that would not be on TV. Right now, no one cares, and they're not getting mad about it. So
I think Ben Shapiro has the biggest conservative podcast.
yeah,
And they make fun
probably
of him all the time, and he rolls with it and laughs.
Yeah, dude, I actually made a video that made fun of him. And
Did he respond to it or anything?
Yeah, so it wasn't that crazy. I was doing Never Trumper versus Always Trumper kind of thing, right? And what I said was, because you always try to find like a good thing to make fun of them with, because I didn't want to be like, Ben Shapiro's, what I said was, watching cool guys like Ben Shapiro, and he lost his virginity at 28. So I kind of like just took a dig at like some of these bad boy guys. They're
Right,
like,
right.
and again, whatever, it's not like the worst. I don't think any of this stuff was that bad if it's making fun of anyone. But then he retweeted it and he was like, "Actually, he was 24."
Oh my gosh.
Kidding. And I was like, "That's pretty funny." That's a pretty funny way to. There was a few people.
He rolls with it.
Yeah, but it's only on the right. Alex, there was maybe it wasn't her. It was this was another right wing people. What's the like Candace Owens?
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle kind of made fun of her, and people were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, what'd you think?" And
She rolled with it.
Yeah,
She thought
she
it was
was
great,
like,
yeah.
Dave Chappelle can make fun of me. So,
She said something like, "I'm honored to be made fun of by like one of the greatest comedians ever."
Yeah.
And then she was like, "I'd love to talk to you at some point."
It's such the move, dude. Like, if
know.
someone makes fun of you, especially like a comic, you look like such a loser if you go, "Look, you're an idiot. I'm actually cool."
Dude. These memes,
so much better.
These memes about me are amazing. Like somebody, I tweeted something, and then someone made a meme where it was like me in a hot air balloon, but my head was the balloon, and the basket was hanging from my own head, and I was in it. I saved it. I was like, dude, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Then there's another one where it's me, and my brain goes up, and it's really small with a little beanie on it, and I'm drooling. It's hilarious, dude. I don't care, man. I'm having a good time. You know, like I don't get bothered by these things. They make me laugh, and it's funny because like people on the right will more of a playful jab post memes, and they're funny, and people on the left think they're trying to get me, and I'm like, dude, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
I love the blimp head brain thing. It's good, dude.
Yeah.
Because, I got to say I'm impressed because the left usually doesn't have good memes. But they put a lot of effort into making memes about me that are funny. Now, the funny thing about the one with the little brain is that I'm wearing this old baseball tee that I wore like 2 years ago that I haven't worn for 2 years. Because now my thing is like the shirt with the shirt over it. And so I'm like, did you make this last month about a video I did 2 years ago?
They really put in the work.
Wow.
Man. Yeah,
like they're watching my stuff.
They went through the archives
this
to
crazy.
find the perfect shirt to sketch you out to make fun of you.
One of these woke like researchers, this is the craziest thing I ever heard. So there's this woman, and she did this thing where she like smeared a bunch of
peanut butter on.
We're not going to go there.
No.
She smeared a bunch of people. Peanut butter. She smeared a bunch of people. And then it was called the Alternative Influence Network, and she claimed that like comedians were like connected from one link to like white nationalists, and it was the most ridiculous conspiracy nonsense. She does a follow up to it, and she says that she watched all of my videos, and I was like, do you know how much content that is? I like 2,000 videos that are between 10 and 30 minutes long, and I was like, that means she was sitting in her apartment for like 4 hours a day to catch up, because based on the amount of time she spent. From the time she started the project to the time she finished, I was like, dude, I tweeted it. I was like, wow.
That's
I was
honor.
like, I'm actually really impressed, because that means you were watching probably like 5 hours of my content every day to catch up. Because I was doing at the time 2 hours per day.
Yeah, you do a lot.
2 hours per day. Now with this show, it's 4. And I'm like, so if you're going to watch all of my content, that means you had to be watching at least 2 hours a day, double time, to try and catch up to the content I was making today.
Yeah.
That's how, I was like, that's dedication.
That's full-time job, yeah.
And then she wrote like this article, and it wasn't even, it wasn't a hit piece or anything. It was like, Tim Pool's a moderate who says these things. And I'm like, you watched
yeah, that's a lot of work for that bad
of my
boy,
videos.
huh?
Man. Oh, it's dedicated to your art, man,
There's nothing worse than the scumbags that just go through your podcast to get mad, and then,
and then they find nothing.
Sometimes
Could you
they find
imagine?
something.
But I guess the goal was like, she thought she was going to find something maybe. And then it turns out like Tim's a milquetoast fence sitter who's like just talks about news and has tepid opinions. And
I guess that's not the worst. Dude, I've been having that conversation with all these like, industry people when they're, a lot of the first things I'm asking people is like, what would you do if, like, how would you handle like if someone, if I got in this scandal and some people cancel me and blah, blah. And they're like, well, no, I really like your stuff. I'm a fan. But like, obviously, if you said something like really offensive, I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what's going to happen. Hey, at the very least, they're going to say that.
Not just that, but how long until the videos you've made are offensive? I mean, like, so obviously they're offensive to the left now.
I see what you're saying.
So like, dude, if you get some dude who 10 years ago, Sarah Silverman did
Dude, I watched my old TV show that I did 6 years ago, and some of the jokes I was watching, I go, whoa.
If we carry on in this way where we're going now, I'd be willing to bet in a few years, oh, you're going to the gulag, brother.
Yeah.
They're going to be like this woke racist thing. How dare you?
Do you want to know something really funny that I saw 2 days ago? So the show Criminal Minds?
Yeah.
So
vaguely, I don't know. I've never seen it.
It's like SVU or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Basically, it's whatever. It's like cop show or whatever. But there was a person that had a split personality. So basically, it was a man and a woman were in the same body. And then the woman was killing people and then took over. So it was the woman. And then she was like, she's not going to let the guy out anymore. So it's just the woman. And then the cops were, so it's basically like a trans woman at this point, played by man. And all the cops were like, come on, we know there's a guy in there somewhere. And I was just like, can you imagine? Be like, tell me there's not a guy in there drinking a Coors Light and playing beer pong. Let him out, Caitlin.
Is that what they were saying?
Yeah. That's all because they're saying this psychopath took over. And I was just like, man, can you imagine that right now? That was making me laugh so much. The idea.
Jeez.
You're telling me there isn't a dude inside there just waiting to have an arm wrestle? Let him out.
So,
let him out.
Well, so here's the point. Ultimately, like, the jokes we've made on this show at a certain point, if we carry on this track, people are they're gonna go be like, look at this podcast he did 3 years ago. Oh, it's so offensive. Cancel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then on the other side, they go too far where it's like, the truth is with people calling stuff gay or whatever, there was a point where I think most people, people were kind of like, yo, listen, like, we don't like that word if you don't mind it. And honestly, everyone was kind of like, yeah, we were kind of done with it anyway. And then it was like, yeah, you better not say it. And we go, yeah, I wouldn't say it. And he's like, yeah, that's right. Because if you say it, you're in trouble.
Now people are saying it.
Yeah, and then every person was like, all right. Now I have to say it.
Gotta say it now.
So, and that's what happened with all this stuff. Like, it kind of started out where it was like, hey, could you not just, and you go, yeah, no problem. But then the things got so ridiculous that everyone's like, all right, now I'm not following any of it.
You know what's funny? There's a voice actress who's super anti-Trump and super woke.
Yeah,
except she's done a ton of Family Guy,
Hollywood rarity,
and Comedy Central. And I'm like, I could put together probably like 5 hours of extreme racist, transphobic, homophobic content from this voice actress.
Right.
A super compilation. And like, that's why it's like, don't pretend that all of a sudden you're turning a new leaf when it was only a couple of years ago you were like making all of this racist content.
Yeah, you were doing what was in vogue then, and you're doing what's in vogue now.
Exactly.
These people have like no spines, they're followers. And,
exactly.
And people can tell the difference.
Our happy place says, we just need honest people who want to find real solutions to step forward and say enough. We need reform. We need to be objective. We need to support our police and expect accountability.
I do want to be clear about the fact that I do not care about finding real solutions. I care about making a good comedy album that will
and
come
solutions
out
are bad. If everything was fixed, what are you going to make fun of? Everything is great. What's the deal with everything being perfect? You need the chaos and the calamity so that people get angry about something.
What's the deal with this racial unity?
I'd laugh at that.
Someone's going to pull that one.
Oh, boy.
All right, let's see. Matt Moran says, hey, Tim, owed you a super chat. Anyway, you rock. But for Ryan, dude, you are on fire this year. Great work and good luck. I thought it couldn't get better. Then you released Diversity in Torture. That was good.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Just like those people didn't know what to say, man.
Yeah, the part that was like making me laugh the night before to myself was saying that Guantanamo Bay is a boys' club.
That was my favorite part.
Yeah, that was making me laugh.
I love that video. I was like, yes, I want equality in this field.
Yeah, I got a couple other ones of those too coming out.
Sweet.
All right, let's see what we got. Let's do a couple more because we're running late.
Yeah.
Let's see. Private Joker says, hi, Tim. Have you seen the coverage of the shooting last night in Kenosha? The media coverage has been heavily against the shooter, but I doubt they're telling the full story. Any thoughts? That's my general understanding. But we really do need more footage to come out. There was a deep analysis on it that's really, incredible, where they isolated individuals with and traced them through the video so you can clearly see, like by color coordinating, that the dude who shot the guy in the head was being attacked. Okay. And then he fired in self-defense.
That's the one you showed me before, right?
Yeah, and then they chased him down the street. And so it really does look like, hard self-defense.
So glad we had so many reporters.
This is wild. Tim, someone just donated $50 to my Patreon while I'm on
this. Wow.
So your fans have started to pick up the Lyft bill. Which
there you go, man.
I'm happy to hear it.
Pedrick says, hey, Tim, the Aussie government is about to put through a law to give big media corporations an edge by giving them YouTube algorithm data and up to 60 times of their ad revenue they bring in. 9 News Network. This precedent could go to the U.S. Please look at it. Oh, I didn't hear that. I will look into it. So let's do one more. Let's see. Where are we at?
So how does maybe this is like a noob question. And who cares? But so what happens if you don't read the super chat?
I can't read all of them. So there's a bunch I haven't read.
So it's like they do the super chat and you try to read as many as you can.
I try to read as many as I can, but it's like.
But if they're in the chat, it shows up like bigger for everyone else to see.
Right. Yeah.
So there is a benefit still. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So let's see what we got here. Bruva says, I'm seeing more and more of my coworkers rocking the Trump mask and making heads explode. LOL.
That is a funny move.
To hear that.
Just show up to your normal job with the Trump mask.
Yep.
Do it.
Funny move.
All right, let's see. That Chivo says, are you going to start hunting with all those new guns you bought? Probably not, because I work too much.
Did you buy a bunch of guns?
I bought a bunch of guns.
I bought a bunch of Smith & Wesson stock because Danny Polish
stock.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant idea.
Well,
he told me. He was like, but
they're sold out of everything.
Yeah, that's what he said. He
like,
said
not
it was
just them, but
down.
stores across. I had a buddy send me a bunch of photos, and he's like, dude, all the ammo's gone.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of thinking, like, I got to go to the store and get ammo.
So you bought, what'd you buy?
I'm not going to say publicly, but a bunch.
Yeah, a bunch
We
of
have
guns.
enough.
A bunch.
Oh,
Feel
you got a
very safe.
compound, dude.
I
Yours
went
there-
in and I was like, let's see, I'll take that one, that one, that one.
Take one of
One of
each.
those.
Yeah.
I look
Dude.
down. Ooh, I'll definitely take that one.
You're like one step away from having a cult out here.
No way, dude.
Some, what was the
I don't want
movie
you.
called?
You think I want people around me?
Well,
fair.
you
They're
get to-
gonna show up and they're gonna have beanies on there and be like, Tim, we want to with you. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
get out, get away from me.
You get to have sex with everyone's wife in the cult.
Oh,
That's
hey,
cool.
you know.
What's that movie called? Or
I
not-
don't know.
I mean, it actually
What
happened.
you're talking about?
But it's like a famous American story, but they
Yeah,
keep
there was
making
a
talks
cult.
about it.
Yeah.
And they were kind of in the middle of nowhere, and the cops came, and there was like a standoff.
I have no idea.
Was it the Bundys? That wasn't it.
No, I don't think
I
there's a
can't
bunnies,
remember.
but super famous. I feel like people in the chat would even probably be saying it if
They
they're. I
might.
don't know if they're in real time like that,
Honestly,
but
they are.
anyways, there was this cult in the middle of somewhere, and then the police came and they had a standoff for like months, and then they burned the place down.
Was that Waco?
Yes.
Waco.
Knew it.
Oh,
Yeah.
snap.
Yes, I knew you'd
Really?
get it.
Yeah.
We
but-
did. We got there.
Yeah,
together.
I'm seeing a lot
Yeah,
in
there
the
we
chat.
go.
That's Waco.
Oh.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
We got her
Together.
back.
Well, on that note, on a positive note, we'll
Wonderful.
wind
On
things
Waco.
down. Yeah, on Waco. We'll leave it there. So we're
Let's go back to
everybody's saying Waco. There goes.
Yeah, they got
the
it.
surfer roots. Let's just ride the Waco.
That's right.
Yeah. So anybody. Anyway,
Anybody.
everybody. So anybody who's listening, we're wrapping up. We went a little. We go a little bit longer every night apparently. So, do you want to just shout out your socials real quick?
Yeah,
before we
dude,
wrap
that
up?
was super fun. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, for sure,
It's
man.
very cool.
You're a
what you
funny
got.
guy.
Yeah, thanks,
You
buddy.
are
Yeah,
that,
it's very
yeah.
cool. Like this whole, it's just cool. Like seeing, there's like Andrew Schultz is something like this. Like we kind of had a thing going in Toronto, but it's very cool watching people. You're like, you go to Comedy Central, you're like, yo, this is better, dude.
Yeah.
What you got going on, but yeah. YouTube.com/Ryan Long Comedy is the best one. Like, subscribe, please. I release a video every Monday, and The Boys Cast with Ryan Long, the first podcast exclusively for the boys.
There you go.
Patreon.com/The Boys.
And of course-
pay for my Uber.
Yes.
Yes. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Parler at Timcast. Check out my other channels, youtube.com/Timcast and /Timcast News. And you can follow at Sour Patch Lids, LYDS, on Twitter and Parler. And we will be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. And thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll see you all then.
All right. Bye, guys.